well as via video conference hosted through Zoom. In accordance with section 551.127B of the Texas Local Government Code, the presiding officer and a quorum of the Lamarque City Council intend to be and will physically be present at 1109B Bayou Road, Lamarque, Texas. This location will be open to the public and the meeting will be broadcast at this location on Channel 16 and via YouTube. The council will meet for the purpose of considering the following agenda. The meeting has been called to order. Ms. Kiera, would you give us a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Councilmember District A.
Present, and I am calling you from 1300 East Central Park Boulevard, DeSoto, Texas, 75115.
Thank you. Councilmember District B.
Present.
Councilmember District C.
Present.
Councilmember District D.
Present.
And
Present. Thank you, Kiera. We will now have our invocation and our pledge. Stand if you're able. Let's pray. Most holy God, we certainly acknowledge your presence in this place. We thank you, Lord, for this great city that you have given us. Lord, we pray that you would lead us and guide us in the deliberation of the business of this city. Lord, help us to understand the needs of your people and help us, Lord, to decide in a way that would benefit those, Lord, of this great city and that would bring glory to your name. We ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Mr. Garcia.
Please join me in pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Today is an exciting day for us at the city of Lamarque. It is an exciting day for our community because today is the day that we introduce our 2024 summer interns. Now, many of you may not know that this is the third year, I believe, Mr. Garcia, of our city interns. After we started this program, we're going to brag here for about 10 seconds. After we started this program, we were followed by the city of Texas City, as well as the city of Dickinson. And so kudos to this city for the innovation that was necessary to create such a program as this. We have, I believe, 15 high school students this year. And so I am going to make my way around. Mr. Garcia, would you make your way around so that you can introduce these fine young people? And if you know already, the departments in which they are being assigned to. You want to meet me up front?
I'll meet you up front.
Very good.
I can please ask all of you guys to please come in order. We talked about doing, we'll start with you here. Going to come up, introduce yourself. We'll take turns. As far as the department placings, I don't want to speak out of turn. We have 2 members or 3 members that were on our panel here today. The assignments are still being finalized, but I could tell you some will be stationed with our brand new summer camp program this year. We'll have 6 of them with the summer camp. We'll have some with fire, police, public works, city clerk's office, and then spread out through different departments. I'd like to have you guys all stand up here, come introduce yourself and come stand up here so we can take a group picture, please.
I'm Jacqueline Gonzalez and I go to Lamarque High School.
My name is Peyton Downey and I go to Lamarque High School.
My name is Maya Turner and I go to Lamarque High School.
My name is Kalisa Jones and I go to Ball High School.
Welcome.
My name is Gabriel Janice and I attend Lamarque High School.
My name is Timothy Ferguson and I go to Lamarque High School.
My name is Kendall Shannon and I go to Lamarque High School.
My name is Aiden Gacky and I'm a student at Lamarque High School.
My name is Sarai. I go to Marque High School.
My name is Vincent Mitchell. I go to Texas City High School.
My name is Joseph Most, and I go to Colony High School.
Name Jeremiah Funo. I go to Dixon High School.
There are a few that could not make it tonight because of other commitments. I do appreciate the fact that everybody has given a chance for our young folks to be part of the program. As you're aware, since the program's inception, we have been able to retain some of these folks as full-time employees. I believe we're up to 3 now that have been in the program, either have stayed or have been here for a while. So there are opportunities for them afterwards. Even one of them right now, I think our very first intern is here joining us as one of our college interns, and we're trying that this year for the first time. We can all get together for a moment. This is a 6-week program. They'll be working 24 hours a week, and we're very excited to have them as part of our team this summer so we can guide them, teach them about public service, and hopefully they can learn and fall in love with some type of future. Mayor, thank you.
Very good. Let's give these young people a round of applause.
How do you want it, Ms. Aguilar? Here, let me get this out of the way. You got that right in front of you.
All right, let's squeeze in, man. You better come on.
I want to take a moment and thank the panel for all the interviews and everything that they conducted through this process, but also thank the parents for allowing their children to be part of this opportunity. Those of you that would like to stay for the meeting, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, I promised you guys 6:15, and so.
Class dismissed.
Y'all give them a second while they all stampede out of here as fast as they probably can.
We know that all of you are going home early to get a good night's rest to return tomorrow to work. What's tomorrow? Did I say that wrong? Oh, okay. Well, some of you may not return tomorrow. I don't create the schedule. You ready? All right. Thank you, Caesar. Okay. Item 5, citizens' participation limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments from the public will be heard at this time. Any person with city-related business who signed up may speak to council, limited to 3 minutes. Wishing to speak, give the mayor, the presiding officer, your full legal name, your address, the item you wish to speak about. Compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the city may not deliberate on comments. Personal attacks will not be allowed. Personnel matters should be addressed to the city manager during normal business hours. If you're visiting with us via phone, press *6 to mute or unmute yourself. If you're participating via the Zoom platform on a smartphone, tablet, or computer, there should be a microphone icon in the lower portion of your screen. And if you are here with us in person, when your name is called, you may approach the podium in the center aisle, and you will be heard. Let us remember that we address council as a whole. We are one body, and we do not personally attack one another. If we do that, I believe we'll stay in the right place. The first person that we are going to hear from today, well, let me back up. Is there any person online wishing to speak?
Yes.
Very good. Welcome. Name, address, and welcome.
Mayor, Council, this is Robert Mitchell. Address is 24 North Curlew Street. Recently, a request was sent to Kira for a joint meeting from the TERS Board and the Omega Bay HOA, OBIC, to address council as in a workshop so that we can have a two-way dialogue. And it's concerning a proposal by the TERS and a proposal from the HOA on a reversion contract. The date, we were assuming that it might fall in line with the next council meeting prior to where y'all could all attend. The June 11th is the date that has come up with all the attendees as the best date, but we were not given that date of the next council meeting. So I wanted to make sure that this was relayed to y'all correctly, because if y'all can't attend or be part of it, it's kind of pointless. The second item I wanted to speak about is the letter from the city concerning FEMA that was sent to every resident of Omega Bay and to about a half dozen other homes outside of the levee area. We received notice of this on May the 2nd. The letter was dated May the 1st. It was a demand letter stating that they needed at least 2 pictures of every property. And that is a huge security issue among some other things. But in the town hall meeting that was held this past Wednesday, which Mr. Lowry was gracious enough to attend, and he does have more background for you. The FEMA rep stated that for over 2 years now, he has asked for council and mayor to attend these meetings, and he says not one has attended. And when also asked if he's received any documents from the city, he stated 0. When asked of Ms. Van Staveren what has happened with all of our construction documents, elevation certificates, inspection reports of the recent builds in Omega Bay, the reply is we have no documents. There's no explanation why. Now, with that said, you can see the dilemma that the residents have about providing pictures of their homes with the addresses and names, and it not being safeguarded and being subject to open records. This is a problem for us, and it was a very hostile meeting. I think Mr. Garcia could attest to that. He was there for only a few minutes, but I know Ms. Van Staveren is. But for no one at any time in Omega Bay, any resident or anyone from the
Mr. Mistich.
Yes.
Finish, you are out of time, but you may finish your statement, sir.
Okay, no one from the Omega Bay Board nor the property management was contacted in this 2-year period until the day after the letter was dated. So y'all might look into that, Mayor. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Any other persons online wishing to speak? Moving on now to those that are here with us in person. Mr. Richard Loftus. Welcome, Mr. Loftus. Name and address for the record, please.
Richard Loftus, Johnson Street. I want to speak to a couple issues. I see y'all have on the agenda about the request for awarding a contract to for the storm recovery services. And my question is that company going to be picking up all this storm debris that's out here, the tree limbs and stuff that's piled up? So that's a question. Maybe I can get an answer to that, because there's a lot of, as you all know, there's a lot of trees out here after this storm. They're out of compliance, and I can guarantee you that if we don't get it picked up, gonna be out there for a very long time, just like some of the other stuff that's been out there for a very long time. That's in the right of ways, couches, dump sites. There's a lot of stuff out there. I just want y'all to know it. I don't know if y'all been riding around, but I have, and we need to get this stuff picked up. So if this agenda item here, 2 of them looks like is to that fact, I'd definitely like to see it happen and happen fast, because there is tons of stuff out there. Also, too, let me see here. There's a lot of dumpsters that's out of compliance in this city. Everywhere. I've counted about 15 that's not enclosed, that's, has furniture piled around. And we have an ordinance against that. And I think we need to take a look at that and get in compliance with that because it's a problem. Also, let's see what else I had here. There's a lot of bandit signs and stuff being left out in the right of ways. And we got code enforcement and we got public works and they riding around. And I want to know why is it too hard for people to get out of the truck and pick these things up? Now, some of them getting picked up, some of them still nailed to poles here and there, but I'm seeing these same signs for a month. A couple of them I just been watching to see how long they're gonna be there. And some of them was there before the election. And we had this big to-do about election signs. Let's have the same to-do about bandit signs in our right-of-ways.
Thank you, Mr. Loftus.
If I can.
Point of information.
No, it was more for staff. Ms. Phoenicia, could you please get with Mr. Loftus on the bulk trash and so he's aware and we're putting a statement out tomorrow on that. And Chief Merriman, if you could please discuss what happened at that meeting. Thank you. We've already had a meeting on those.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Clarence Caldwell. Welcome, Mr. Caldwell. Name and address for the record, please.
Clarence Caldwell, Prairie Street, Marque, Texas. In America, by right, is your sanctuary and a place where you should have privacy, especially in your backyard. Section 21.15, the Texas Penal Code outlines it clearly in black and white what the law is in the state of Texas. But also, Texas Penal Code 42072, this law refers also to stalking. I did talk to Chief just a minute ago, and he said that he's going to confer with DA to see what further issues that we can on taking care of this problem. But the problem is, I have an individual who I've been having issues with for 25 plus years with all types of different issues. And if it wasn't for Councilman Ross checking on another issue, I wouldn't have noticed that I had he has hidden cameras that are facing my back patio door, my bedroom, and everything else. A lady friend of mine, she pointed out the other security camera that she said that's pointed directly at her. I can't even have people to come over my house because of this. This is state law. This is not city ordinance. This is not county ordinance. This is state law. And what this person is doing is against the law. And it's starting to get bad. You know, I can't even go in my garage because he has a camera trained on my keypad that I use the code in order to get in my garage.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a 6'8" privacy fence. And the camera he has situated above it so it can train directly on it. Enough is enough. You know, my garage is separate from my house, and police department has come over there when I first installed the cameras because he had crackheads over there hiding stolen bicycle parts. Well, it's about time for me to put cameras up, and that's the reason why I put security cameras up, because a crackhead, they don't care who they steal from. Oh, excuse me.
You're fine.
But they don't care who they steal from. So I got to protect what's mine. So when the officer came over to my house, the officer said, she'll be over there at my house in a second. And she said, Mr. Caldwell, you have the right to have a camera pointed at your garage, your boat, your truck, to protect your stuff.
Finish your statement.
And that's the reason why I put these security cameras up. But if the police department go over there, they will notice that The cameras that are pointed are only at me. They're not pointed at none of the neighbors.
Yeah.
They're just pointed at me.
Yeah.
That's an invasion of my privacy and my rights.
Yes, sir.
Something needs to be done, and something needs to be done in a hurry.
Yes, sir.
You know, I have an auntie that just passed away. We can't even have a repast over at my house.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Mr. Garcia, did I hear you say that Chief Aragon is already in conversation with Mr. Caldwell?
Mr. Caldwell stated that, and I did speak to Chief Aragon about this earlier today. So we are aware of the situation. He is trying to find some other remedy.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Caldwell.
Y'all be blessed.
You
Thank
too.
you.
Carl Beard. Welcome, Carl. Name and address for the record, please.
Carl Beard, 5707 Armstrong Drive, Texas City, Texas. I'm a contractor. I own a company called Urban House Builders. I have Pastor Boone here with me. Probably for like the past 2 or 3 years, we've actually approached the city by purchasing a utility easement that sits to the south of his property, I believe. And we've had a hard time actually contacting the various utility companies. We've also approached the city about giving us contacts to various utility companies in which we can get the form signed off on in order to purchase the property. A month and a half ago, Pastor Boone actually sent out an email to various people in the city, and we were told that we would actually get a meeting with, I believe it's what, the Board of Adjustments, for us to actually ask for a variance for the property so we won't have to use the utility easement. We have yet to receive that email back. So we're kind of like at a stalemate. We really want to get this project on track out there. And I guess what me and Pastor Boone was discussing, we've seen the 4 Cs clinic project going up. Those guys are doing a certain amount of replacement. Our actually projects to replace 1,500 square feet of a reunion hall, what do you call it? Fellowship hall. 1,500 square feet of a fellowship hall. We're actually just replacing it. We're going back with the same 1,500 square feet. So we want to know, can we actually, I know you guys can answer that question, but if we can get to the board, can we actually get a variance for that so we don't have to actually purchase a utility easement?
Very good.
That's it.
Thank you all. Did you have some?
No, I was trying to see if Kathleen was available. They oversee Board of Adjustments. I don't see her in the room, but we'll make sure to follow up with the resident who asked a question.
Very good. Thank you. We'll move now to public hearing. Item 6.1. Ordinance number letter O -2024 -0008, adopting a code of ethics for elected and appointed officials. The special call meeting is closed at
6:27.
6:27. The public hearing is open at 6:27. Is there any persons online wishing to speak to item 6.1? Any persons online wishing to speak to item 6.1? Are there any persons here before us in person wishing to speak to item 6.1? Yes, sir, you may approach.
Short Loftus, 309 Johnson. So I just have a suggestion. Once you all pass this ethics ordinance, whatever that looks like, perhaps y'all might want to consider putting together ethics complaint review board. So in case there's some issues that arrive, maybe we can bring this in front of a review board for whatever that situation may look like. So that's just a suggestion.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other persons here before us tonight wishing to speak to item 6.1? If it's okay, Kiara, I'll move into item 6.2. Ordinance number letter O -2024 -0009, adopting the 2024 drought contingency plan for the city of Lamarque, Texas. Are there any persons online wishing to speak to item 6.2? Any persons online wishing to speak to item 6.2? Any persons before us tonight wishing to speak to item 6.2? Anyone here tonight wishing to speak to item 6.2? Hearing none, Kiera, we will close this public hearing at,
6:29.
and we will reopen the special meeting at,
6:29.
and we will, without objection, council, I believe we have some very, very busy folk here with us tonight, in the form of, Linebarger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson. We will move, item without objection 7.4 and 7.5, up in our old business. And we'll take 7.4. Linebarger, you may approach. Item 7.4, proposed resolution. Consideration, discussion, and possible action to adopt a resolution of the City Council, the City of Lamarque making certain findings as required by law and finding Linebarger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson LLP as being fully qualified special counsel to perform all legal services for the collection of unpaid utility receivables pursuant to Texas Government Code 2254.1036. Mark, welcome. Before we entertain any questions from council, if there are any, do you have a presentation or comments that you'd like to make?
Just simply, Mayor, this is a follow-up to a previous discussion that we've had with council, and I should introduce myself formally. Mark Chevalier. I manage the Galveston County Office of Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson. We're your delinquent tax attorneys. With me tonight also my partner Richard Hill, who manages your municipal court collections, Brandy Stacy, who works on your municipal court collections, and Karen Anderson, who's also with the firm. We're just here as a follow-up to the previous dialogue, and the city had expressed an interest in engaging our services for the purpose of collecting delinquent utility receivables. And just wanted to make ourselves available to answer any questions that council might have pursuant to that potential agreement.
Thank you, Mark. Certainly, we have Ms. Henderson, who is our utility billing specialist tonight. I don't know if you have any comments or if you're here to answer questions or.
No, I'm here in case y'all have any questions for me, so.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for doing that for us. So council, we'll open this up for any questions that we would have for Linebarger or even for our utility billing staff. Joe?
The question I had last time and you weren't available was what was the date, the oldest date of receivables and the amount?
The oldest date goes back to 2002. The amount for the inactive balances is around $118,000. In which of those, about 10% are commercial accounts, 20% are senior citizens, and 70% make up for your residential renters, homeowners.
You said 20 senior citizens?
20% of senior citizens of that amount.
If I may, Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, one of the things that we're trying to do is to clean up this list of outstanding debt. We talked about this during the audit as well. We want to make sure that we do that appropriately. What ends up happening is if somebody closes their actual utility billing account and then moves elsewhere, if they don't move back into the city of Lamarque and go to a different city, we have no way of collecting those funds after the fact. So that's just, this is one of the methods we talked about doing so. Sadly, I'm pretty certain that our research is going to find that some of those folks may have passed and may no longer be with us, but either way, we need an appropriate way to follow through with that and close this out. And we hope to work with Linebarger to get some type of resolution for all of these.
What's the breakdown? The 10% represents what amount, percentage of the 118,000, the commercial accounts?
The dollar amount?
Yes.
I didn't break that down. I can find out for you.
Yeah.
It wasn't that.
I just have this is my business approach, right? First on any collection account, I think is commercial accounts. That's your priority in a small community like Lamarque, not the individuals. This is just, once again, this is my view of the of delinquencies on the water. Water being in my world a right. We all have the right to drink water. And so, but commercial accounts, they're utilizing that to turn in some fashion a business fashion. So I just, even before I'm at this point, I would like to get that breakdown of commercial accounts. What are we looking at here? And then the second thing, and Mark, you might fill me in on this, is there a statute of limitations associated with these utility accounts?
There's no statute of limitations, council member. We can pursue those and would pursue based on the referrals that we receive, and council and the administration can set that criteria for the accounts that are referred to us. If it is the desire of council and administration to only pursue those commercial accounts, then we'll proceed according with that instruction. So sometimes you might take the approach that you would only refer to us collections that exceed a certain amount of delinquency. Either way, you have control over the portfolio of accounts that are referred to us for collection.
Richard has something.
I just might want to.
Identify yourself for the public.
My name is Richard Hill. I'm Mark's partner with the Linebarger Law Firm.
Grab a chair, Richard. There's a chair there behind you.
Pull up a seat.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add to a comment to the question, in that there is a statute of limitations as far as the firm is concerned, being a law firm. And that statute of limitation is 4 years. Generally, for a debt of this nature receivable, the statute says if it's older than 4 years, you cannot file a lawsuit to collect that debt.
Okay.
We are a law firm. Most folks would interpret receiving a letter from a law firm that litigation is going to happen or is imminent. In order to not run afoul of the Fair Debt Collections Practices Act, we limit our collection effort on this type of debt to 4 years so as not to give the impression that the city is about to file a lawsuit on a debt of this nature that is more than 4 years old. Now, if you were pursuing that debt yourself as a city, there would be no limitation on that because it is your debt. You're not a third-party debt collector, as is the law firm. But we limit this to 4 years with regards to trying to pursue the collection of this because we are a law firm and there is a statute that says you can't sue for this type of debt if it's more than 4 years old.
What kind of success rate do you have on debt collection?
For this type of receivable, the success rate is minimal because of the nature of the debt itself. Folks run out on their water bill and don't pay it. They're usually not going to be easy to find, and they're not going to be in the same location where they were, where that debt was generally created. So it's nominal with regards to that, maybe a 4, 5, 6% collection rate on that debt, if you can identify and find the individuals that you're looking for. The ability to do that depends on the data that we receive, that we are able to skip trace and make sure that we are talking to the right responsible party for that debt.
Gotcha. Richard and Mark, you have many municipalities as your client. How many of them do you offer these services for utility bad debt? How many are availing themselves of?
We offer it to all of them. A small percentage of them pursue the utility collection.
A small percentage. And just to follow up on Councilmember Lowry's question there, that just adds this small percentage here, right, for Lamarque. So what is it you said about, let's say at the max 10%
yes,
collection, of which now we're going to turn around and we also reimburse you of that 10%, approximately, what is it, 30%?
30%.
We're reimbursing you 30%.
Yes, sir.
On that. So let's just say $11,000, you're hitting the 10,000. we're paying you numbers a little over $3,000 and the city's ending up with 7. I don't know. I don't know.
Bad debt's hard to collect, and as a business owner, you appreciate every penny.
Yeah.
Any further questions?
Yes, so this is gonna be, how many of our total inactive accounts on here out of the 367 or so that were non-commercial were rental properties that we didn't know about or still don't know about? Because my other part of that question is the homeowner, the person that is renting the house, if somebody skips town, are they responsible for the past bill before a new person puts a bill for that resident?
So the statute provides that there is no remedy against the property if it's a rental or commercial property that has a tenant. It's the person who opened the account with the city. It is their debt. So there's no remedy. It's unlike a property tax where there's a lien that secures to the property that attaches to that property regardless of who the owner is. That's a different and that's why that's one of the factors why these utility receivables are difficult to collect. We don't have the leverage like we do in property tax and municipal court fee and fines. There's always a threat of a warrant being issued for an unpaid court fee or fine. So the leverage does not exist there, and that does affect the enforceability, the collectability.
So we as a city don't have any real recourse to collect this $118,000, almost $19,000 on these inactive accounts, and somebody can just come back in and reopen another account at that house without any recourse at all. The landlord has nothing against them at all if they open up.
The city could take action by ordinance to require that if someone is delinquent in a past water bill and wanted to reestablish a new account, that they would have to cure that debt. Again, the city, as Richard noted, the city doesn't have any limitations period to collect its own debt. So there could be that enforceability for that same person for a delinquent debt.
Right, and that's what we do now. So if a customer tries to, if they have a previous balance and they try to open new service, then they have to pay that balance before opening. Same with the homeowner.
And they're also assessed the new security deposit as well, correct? Which is $100. How much is security?
$75 for homeowner.
150 renters. Sorry. And I think I asked you this, Mr. City Manager. You had already credited the security deposits that had been left to this overdue amount.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this is actual hard debt. One of the things that we're looking, I'm trying to post on the screen for you. When we originally presented this, I'm having trouble pulling it up, but I have Eric here trying to help me. It shows you total active accounts and how much is back owed and how many inactive accounts with that amount. So we're going to share that here on the screen in just a second if we can. We're talking about 407 inactive accounts that equate to about $119,000. And the active accounts at 60 and 90 days, how many of those numbers are. So at 60 days, there's about $106,000. We know that sometimes people need some time to catch up. At 90 days, it's roughly $52,000. So I'll be sharing that here soon. We'll also make sure everybody sends a copy as well. But that'll be posted on here for everybody to view, so you have some backup information, so you can make a better decision.
The other aspect, Mayor and Council, there's a couple of other aspects to a contract like this. First, to the extent that the city's finances reflect this debt, if it is the city's desire to go through exercising proper diligence to collect those debts, and those proper diligence has been executed, then the city might be in a better position if it looks at charging off those debts and removing it from the city's finance statements, that to the extent that it's all measures have been undertaken and it's no longer a collectible debt based on commercial acceptable standards of debt collection. The other aspect is that by putting this contract in place, again, we would pursue the debts that are given to us, so the city can select that criteria and pursue those accordingly. Having this contract in place would give the city an option. For example, if you did have a major water user that went delinquent, for example, a large commercial enterprise, and all of a sudden you're faced with a 5-figure debt, this contract would be in place and the enforceability of that would be more immediate than having to go through the procurement process and undertaking whether to engage counsel for that. So this would be in place should that unfortunate situation arise.
Yeah.
The overdue fee, Mr. City Manager, is that include the sewer fee as well, or is that just water? Because water's attached, there's the way we are water, sewer, trash. So what is included in this 118? Is it all three? It is all three.
So how soon can we get them the bad debt? What are we waiting at now?
So this is on your screen is a breakdown of that for everybody to see where we are inactive versus active accounts. And essentially, what we would need to do tonight, Councilman Lowry, to address that is assuming that once this item completely passes and is through, we would share that information with Linebark and then they would commence their process. Do you have an estimated timeline? If you had all the information for these folks, how you would begin and what that would look like for you?
The implementation phase of the collection process begins with determining whether or not and if there is a software package that the city uses to track this data. Some cities are not there yet. If you have a software that tracks this data, we would interface with your software in order to set up the transfer of information so that we could take the data, download it into our system and set up the information flow between the firm and the city. That generally takes 60 to 90 days in order to make sure that all of that is working. We would then prepare letters that would require the approval, review and approval by the city that we're going to be using in that collection process, along with making you aware of what the talk off collection language, talk off meaning what we would say on behalf of the city when we contact someone that has a debt. That probably should take place within that 60 to 90 days. So 120 days is probably what we're looking at with regards to getting it set up, running, and first letters going out the door.
What's our security deposit for commercial accounts?
That varies, based on consumption, how big the facility is. It can range from $250 to $1,500, which is so standard rate.
Yes, that's what I was asking too, what that amount represents. I don't. And this would be something that would come up to us, Mayor, every year, like our collection, our contract for the taxes? Is that the tax contract?
So the tax
5-year.
So the tax and municipal court collection contracts are multi-year contracts.
Multi-year.
This proposed contract is also a multi-year contract. Of course, there's language in there that could be terminated early. So we're not going down the aisle saying I do in that regard.
I guess, like I said, we're a small town. I have sometimes as a mature person here, I have a hard time getting over the small town, just a little small town, right? We try to help each other. If you get behind on your water bill, let me refer you to agencies or sometimes that's help people, right? And family members and stuff. So I guess that's part of our messaging here. as well, city manager. I would hope.
Mhm.
And I didn't see it, by the way. I don't see it when I come pay my water bill. I'm one of those who comes and pays it over. I don't see information about other groups like Catholic Charities, like Salvation Army, things there. You know, that these are areas or organizations that you can turn to. The Galveston County Social Services as well too is a resource.
What our
So,
staff's trained to do is actually to counsel individually. Most folks prefer to be counseled in that case separately. So we do have those meetings separately and where we offer a full list of all resources. One, two, I wanted to primarily share that our main focus right now is to go after the inactive accounts first. That's what we want to really take care of first with this, with these items. And the direction was very clear last time we talked about it. We're not going to even attempt to even begin any of these phone calls or follow up until they exceed 90 days anyways, because we know sometimes people need some time to get their legs under them and catch up, if you will, because things may occur.
Mark mentioned something. I went back, and this is something that I left the last meeting on. I went back and I looked at our last audited statement and then the previous one. And I don't see any inquiries, any listing there. And if someone showed it to me on bad debt, on overdue accounts, I didn't see it listed. So I was looking for this figure there. It didn't exist in the financials. Okay, so that's one. Because in my world, they would be there, right? But it's not there. So that's just something else. I don't know. I guess, Mayor, my council members, I'm in my heart, I'm inclined to say no, but at the same time, I'm not willing to say, let's not lose an opportunity to clean this up.
Yeah.
That's the flip side of this.
Yeah.
But I just want us to continue to have the heart and the soul of a small community. We don't look at people who get behind that are struggling as less than being a human being. And I hope that we remember that in terms of our customer service when people come here. That's my feeling.
Ms. Yancey, did you have anything?
Yes, I think for us to do this, I think we have to have balance. I think that's what Joe is saying, that we have to bring balance to this agenda item, because we know it would be irresponsible for us not to collect the debt. We do have a responsibility to make sure that we hold people accountable for what they owe. But at the same time, I think what Councilmember Joe Compion is telling us to make sure that we, let people know about the chosen few, about Catholic Charities, and that we make sure we have those resources available for them, to make sure that people are aware of other resources in our city, in our county as well. And sometimes I know we've gotten better with that, and that's why we have so many, MOUs and partnerships, which is a good thing. We just need to make sure that our staff is adequately trained on getting that information, especially to those persons who get 60 to 90 days behind, to let them know about those other resources. But I do think we need to collect that debt of $118,000. It's a lot of money. And if our staff is saying that they need assistance with that, then I think we should pursue it. But I do think it's important that we have balance on this issue. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Very good. Ms. Turner? Ms. Turner, would you make yourself available for a question? While you're doing that, Ms. Henderson, there was a blue portion in that slide that talked about folks some being 60 days delinquent and then some being 90 days delinquent. What is our process? How long do we give our residents? Is there such a thing as being 90 days? I can see 60, but 90 days delinquent. And is that consistent with our policy?
It's not consistent with our policy. We I transitioned from Public Works to the department now, I've seen a lot of it's during that COVID time, right, when there was a policy made that no one was to get turned off, period. During COVID, for whatever reason, those bills accumulate. We had 2 late fees per month per cycle. I mean, that's where all this is coming from. No one's able to catch up. We have, our main ones are the ones that get paid once a month, our senior citizens. We do everything we can to help. I mean, everything, but then I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't treat everyone the same, There's some that take advantage of the situation, there's some that really cannot afford to catch up on their bill.
So again, we have no policy that suggests that anyone in our city should be 90 days delinquent.
People have our policy that after 60 days you are turned off.
Right. So there should be no such thing as 90 days delinquent. And that's $52,000.
Yes, Mayor.
And
Whenever the time of this report.
okay. So that I would start there, right? I would start there. If it was me, I would start there. I wanted you, while I'm moving around, I wanted you to answer, if you could, Mayor Pro Tem's question. He asked where in our financial reporting would we be able to find delinquent past due water accounts?
If you were talking about bad debt, that will be on our balance sheet.
It's
Bad
not on the
debt.
audited statement.
No,
Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to look that up for you just a moment ago, but it will be on the balance sheet.
Balance
And I can find that amount for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So it
And
is
that
on,
would be all bad debt or just bad debt in this.
It may be bad debt by fund. I have to just check it, but
Okay.
it's there. It's
All right.
there, and I can break it out.
That'd be good.
okay. So
Mayor, just one thing that,
Yes.
something you mentioned. So these folks, once they're pushing beyond the 60-day limit or even getting close to the 60-day limit, once they pass that 30-day limit, that's when staff starts picking up the phone and saying, hey, we noticed that you're behind. Do you need assistance? Here's some resources. This number was way, way larger. We've been trying to address this situation. What ends up happening is that number is pretty manageable considering how many accounts we have. It's 296 accounts out of the 8,000 that we have. Really, a lot of folks are starting to get back. We've issued quite a bit of assistance. Our partners have issued quite a bit of assistance. So the number is dwindling, right? Because at one point, this number was probably over 400,000 all combined as far as debt's concerned. So it's dwindling. We are addressing it. However, the real juggernaut here that we were trying to address first is the inactive accounts. And then those that are above 90, but they need help with the language. We've offered assistance in different languages for the assistant services. Whatever we can do to remove any barrier that they have, to the point of even assisting them with some of the forms and backup documentation they need to submit the documents, we're having individual counseling sessions with them so that they never get to the 90 or even get to the 60. That's the general hope that our staff has taken the challenge on.
And Mayor, and Venetia and I just encountered an issue the other day. There's a resident, an outstanding bill close to $2,800. This resident had a water leak, not on our side. It was within her home.
Okay.
She got it repaired, but she's still running behind. We've done how many pay agreements with her?
About 3.
3 pay agreements. She wanted to speak to Venetia's manager. So I talked to her. We set up another payment agreement for her. But I said that going forward, if you don't meet this payment agreement, the next day we're gonna have to turn off your water.
Yeah.
I know Venetia was telling me that she saw where when we turned off the water, people made a bigger effort to go ahead and pay.
Who would have thought?
And she's been collecting,
Yeah.
but we are working with this resident. she had a deadline, I think it was today, right? To get caught up on a particular amount. And if not, we're gonna turn it off again and we'll try to work with her again. I spoke to her on the phone, told her about the different programs. She said, oh, I have to hassle with that. You know, it's for some people, it can be a hassle to try to reach out to these different agencies. So she said she was going to. And I even extended to her, if you need my help, reach out. I can give you some guidance.
Yeah.
So
So this part of municipal government is really the business of municipal government, and there is no room for those types of charitable agreements because it's strictly business. There's a bottom line. We expend a certain amount of financial resources to obtain this water, right? And so those resources have to be recouped. Again, no one here has said to me or to this council that there is such a thing as a policy that suggests that there should be a person or any persons or any entity behind 90 days. And so because of that, council has nothing to do with that, but that is a city manager function. Sounds like there might be 1, 2, or even 5 of us saying that that is unacceptable. Does not mean that folks' water will be turned off tomorrow. But what I would think it would mean to me, or let me use James, what I would think it would mean to James is that there might be a correspondence saying, James, you are 90 days behind, and you need to come to this city hall and you need to pay your water bill for that month. And then we're going to tack on $10 more every month. And if it takes you 5 years to repay this debt, then so be it. But we shouldn't have any person 90 days behind. That's one thing. And let me tell you why. 15 to 20% of all water loss is administrative. Meaning the water that we lose, 15% to 20% of it doesn't flow out of pipes. It's lost administratively. People steal water or they use water and they don't pay. When you add that to our water loss, it pushes us up and over above 30 and 40%. Well, then now this entire city has to pay for water, has to pay for my water and your water and his water and her water. And we have to buy more water. And so now I am coming out of my pockets, paying for folks who perhaps made an agreement to pay for their own water, but many of them just chose not to, right? And so because of that, I am of the opinion that the standard has to be the standard, right? We can do that, to Mayor Pro Tem's point, we can do that in a very compassionate way, but I believe that we need to forge our way ahead to make sure that we are being faithful stewards over the people's finances, right? That's just good business. Did you want to join in?
and when I was speaking with her, you know, she was very sad. She said, oh, I have high blood pressure, I have diabetes. I said, you know, I do too. You know, but it was just, you know, began light conversation.
Yeah.
I said, if it was up to me, the whole city would have free water, but we can't do that.
Right.
You know, I said, you know, we have to pay for that water. And she said, okay. I said, so really, really try your best to meet these guidelines, you know, help me to help you. You meet these, we're just going to take it step by step to help you keep your water on. So.
Right. So I would propose just to try to help with because I believe what Joe is saying is fair. What Joseph said about running a business is fair. I had to differentiate. Both are fair points. Let's try to meet those and merge those in the middle. So for me, and I'm just one person, what that looks like is, heck yes, we're going after all the commercial accounts. Case closed. Heck yes, we're going after all of the 70 regular accounts of people that can get jobs. They can get 2 and 3 and 5 jobs to pay. But I think that we ought to slow down on senior citizens, on fixed incomes, right? That for me would be the compassion. And this just discussion. people that are disabled, right? Who are also on fixed incomes because they're disabled, right? I would believe that, I would love to show compassion to those people. But my thoughts, Mayor Pro Tem, would be at least go after those commercial accounts, and at least go after those regular accounts of able-bodied residents that can pay and just for some reason, might be a good reason, didn't pay. So those are my thoughts. Again, we can continue this discussion. Does anybody have anything that they want to add?
I would like to know, out of these total inactive accounts, how many of them are greater than 4 years? And we're gonna that means they're out from listening to what Lineberger has said. Yeah, I didn't but doing some quick math here, the 118,000 equates to about $300 an account on average. And then the 60 and 90-day accounts, when I did the math on there, that was about $500 average an account. So if they're active, I think after the 90 days, that's something we need to pursue, because I've worked with you several times with people trying to get them all the help they can get. And sometimes it's not until we turn their water off that they admit that they need the help that we have to offer. So it's terrible, but it's nice to know we have 407 inactive accounts, but how many of those are we actually going to collect them? And that way we can get an average of what that account is. If we're giving 30% to Lineberger, that means we're getting $200 an account, and they're getting $100 off of it.
Mayor, go ahead. If I can, what we're hopeful that'll happen here, similar to what we're doing with courts and court fines. We've had people that get the letter and say, hey, I didn't know I had X, Y, and Z to take care of. I will gladly go take care of it. And it created a little bit of an uptake for us in that area. We're hoping to have a similar effect here. A lot of folks may not know.
Yeah.
And we may be able to recoup some of those funds. But to the point that was made, whatever we can get, we'd be more than happy. At least we'll have attempted. We can close that debt. We can formally do that for auditing purposes, and then we can start a clean slate moving forward.
Very good.
Now, how many accounts do we have? Because I know you said there was a point in time where we weren't shutting any off, and I know it's hard to do that. How many accounts do we have greater than the 90 days? I mean, are we?
Whatever that number was on the sheet, can we pull that up one more time? Just leave it up if you don't mind.
It only went out to 90 days.
It's 90 or above. So
Oh.
it's 90 and over. So it's 60 to 90 and then 90 and over. That's how the report is written. So we'd have to break down how many of those it was, but as of right now, it's the last time that we checked. So
Anything greater than the 90, I can, yes.
So that's a dollar amount, but we'd have to break down how many of those 296 are greater than 90. But obviously, all the ones down below the 407 would also be greater than 90.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. These are aged accounts. I mean, accounts that.
All right, you said 2002 on one of them, so I mean, that already knocks that down to 406. I mean.
So, council, is there any further discussion?
I have a
ahead,
request. After this is, and later on, Ms. Henderson, our discussion kind of has gotten around the active accounts as well on some of the overdue. But we previously had this discussion with regard to people having water breaks. It happened during not hurricane, Winter Storm Uri. And we established a policy, I thought, at that time with regard to adjustments. And so here in this particular case, and we have new staff coming on, I want to make sure that we have these policies there in place, they're in black and white, that anybody can see them, new staff can see them, that there's.
We actually recently brought those to you for approval.
Yeah,
You
so-
approved the
so-
updated policy recently.
On that, so I put them at the website so that I can refresh my memory as well too, things of that nature.
Any further discussion? Well, we will entertain a motion. Joe, how did you feel about the, everyone but senior citizens and, disabled, persons?
No, I think
Is
that's
that a good
fair. I
compromise?
think that's fair.
And veterans.
And
Veterans.
veterans.
Veterans, we can add veterans. Any others? I will entertain a motion to approve this resolution.
Excluding those groups?
Excluding, senior citizens, any persons, over, what is the, senior citizen age now, Mark? Would you have 65, any persons over 65, any persons with a, documented disability, as well as any, veterans? And I will entertain that motion. Is there a second?
I would like to second it with the caveat that at some point we get the numbers on what the actual, what we're gonna be collecting, because we already know it's not gonna be 4 or 7 friends.
Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sorry, before you move on, that will now be known as resolution number 2024-0032.
2024-0032.
Yes.
Thank you, Gary. 7.5, Linebarger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson LLP. Consideration and approval of the professional collection services agreement. The Linebarger, Gogan, Blair, Sampson LLP as being fully qualified as special counsel to perform all legal services necessary to collect unpaid utility receivables. It's provided in Government Code 2254-1036 and authorizing the city manager, I believe that's what that should say, not mayor, the city manager to execute said agreement. Is that right, Kara? Should that say city manager?
The execution line does say for the mayor to sign it.
Okay, well, is it mayor or city manager?
Mayor.
Okay, well, let's take out the city portion, that's confusing. And let's reread it, that line, as provided in Government Code 2254-1036 and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement. Execution is signing a document, correct?
Yes.
Very good. Do we need any further discussion, council, on this, or shall we just move toward approval? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Linebarger, Gogan, Blair, Sampson.
Miss Venetia.
And Mark, once again, we're not here because you had a family death, but our sincere sympathies for the loss of your father.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that kind thought.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
And just
Go
this
ahead,
is
Jeff.
a comment, Mayor, and it's something I noticed talking about funds that are due the city of Lamarque and not. I hope that the city manager and maybe Miss our finance director,
Ms. Turner.
Ms. Turner, will go to the Secretary of State's unclaimed funds section and look at the city of Lamarque. And at the top of the list, there's a check in the amount of $4,500 that is deposited in 2023 that's owed to the city of Lamarque. And they will also notice that there's probably a total of about maybe 7,000 to 8,000. That's the 10% on the water collection here.
Very good. We won't respond to that, Joe, because that was not on the agenda. All right, let's move now to old business. 7.1, ordinance number letter O-2024-0008, adopting a code of ethics for elected and appointed officials. This is the second and final reading. I will entertain a motion.
We need the motion to even discuss.
Mhm.
Yeah, yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. Any discussion?
Well,
So
yeah.
the stuff that I added, did that get added to the
I think we're having, I have still some confusion. I went back and looked at the charter and Gus, it it does. It is confusing when I start looking at it in terms of the language of the charter and the first reading and the second reading, right? As Councilmember Osteen mentioned at our last meeting, I didn't see any significant changes at all, if at all, maybe one or two things. The amount of the fee that I mentioned, the 250 was changed. But other than that, I didn't see anything there with regard to any of the comments. So as it stands right now, I'm not sure that I'm not ready to proceed as it stands right now. I don't know if we need to go ahead and in writing, submit those to you, Gus, and say, and then bring it back for a discussion, each item, and vote on them. I don't know. I don't know. I'm stumped on that.
Well, did you want to respond to the changes that were made and how they were made?
Sure, let me go back. So there was a lot of discussion at the last meeting regarding this item. And some of it got a little hazy. It sounded like some of the provisions that Mayor Pro Tem requested regarding changing, sorry, I'm going back into my notes here, regarding changing the dollar amount. He did ask for a caveat to be explicitly stated to that this includes the Economic Development Corporation, which was added
I didn't
in
see that.
the top portion. Where is it? This is the May 13th meeting. Sorry, I need to get into this agenda. 1 second here. Scroll, I believe it's at the top of page.
The top of page 3.
3. Okay, I was gonna say 5. There you go. It was added to the top of page 3. The $250. The $250 provision, and then as well as Mr. Laurie's request for council members, and we did explicitly say council members, because this does apply to all elected and appointed officials, be able to attend staff meetings. Those were the ones that it sounded like we had a consensus on. If we missed anything, please let us know. But then also it was asked that we review this again in 6 months, which wasn't put in here, but it is noted.
Yeah. So I believe Mayor Pro Tem, the majority of your changes were added. Sounds like Kiara is saying that, or it was all of his changes added.
So where do we add the 6 months review? That was missing.
The 6-month review was not included into the policy. It was the directive that we were given to put it back on the agenda
In 6 months, yeah.
So it wasn't in here, because if you put it in here, that means we're gonna review it every 6
Every
months,
6 months.
which if you guys would like to, you can, but
So if we're going to proceed, the motion should actually say we're approving this with a review in 6 months.
It doesn't matter either way, yeah.
Yeah,
That's fine. Yeah, that would be fine.
So what do we need to get that, is that taken as a friendly amendment to his motion? Because you made the motion, Joe, right?
Yes, sir.
I had an email that I sent to you with probably at least a dozen changes.
Okay, so
And
yeah, I'd be happy to speak to that. So council acts as a body as a whole. And so when in one of the discussions that Kiara and I were trying to have the last time is council, if one council member is going to send us changes, that's fine. Y'all are free to do that. But as I said, you act as a whole. So that's why one of the things we were trying to do last time is come up with what is y'all's consensus that you want to see changed.
Yeah.
And that's what, and so if in the future you feel that something has not made it in there, or you have a question, if we got it, please ask.
well, we went over it in council too. So did nothing that I said was taken into consideration, or
We didn't, Yeah, we took action on one of the changes you asked for as far as attending meetings. The rest of those that you were asking for as it relates to, I believe I can phrase it as freedom of speech, basically. Those changes were not included because we did not gain consensus on that.
And there was a certain language of things as well.
I don't believe that we gained consensus on that, Mr. Lowry. So,
Page 14 of 19, Gus, at the very end. The last paragraph there, be equally clear in correspondence about representation. Remember, I had that discussion about our own, if as other cities do, I could have my council member be stationary, right, to mine, or, you know. in Joseph's
Sorry,
case.
there was a line added to the end of that section that says official letterhead not pursuant to district letterhead, which is the phrase that you gave us at the last.
Yeah, but that's the line I was asked. That's not a sentence, Kira. That doesn't make a sentence to me. Official city letterhead not pursuant to district letterhead. That doesn't even make sense.
We can edit it if you'd like.
It's, I guess what you're trying to address that. You're saying a copy of it should be given to the city clerk to be filed. However, a council member's letterhead is not considered part of this particular restriction. Would that be accurate? Or do it in the positive. I always look at positive. However, a council member is permitted to have individual council member letterhead for official business purpose.
Yeah, that would be fine. And then I would say it's probably a good idea just to give a copy to the city clerk.
Yeah, as right, it should because it is official.
Right, so
on that side.
Yep.
And once again, assuming there's a consensus among us for that statement.
any objection to that statement being added? Very good.
Sorry, I just want to make sure that I have it documented correctly. It's to make the edit to say, however, a council member is permitted to have individual letterhead that is not included in this provision. And then did that include Gus's request to say with the copy given to the city clerk for record keeping?
That's fine. Too.
Okay.
Don't have problems with it. I'm not hiding anything.
Any further discussion?
I do have a question. So just for clarity's sake, so if someone is requesting a letter of recommendation, is it appropriate for them to do it on district letterhead, district A letterhead, because I'm speaking as a council person, or city of Lamarck letterhead, if you're just writing a letter of recommendation? What is the proper protocol for something like that?
I would, go ahead, guys.
I would lean towards district letterhead.
Yeah.
Just my initial thought, because as I said, it's the council as a whole acts for the city. So
Right.
in your individual council member capacities, you act as district representatives.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Again, this is our first foray into having an ethics ordinance that will flow from the council through to our appointed officials. At some point, Gus, would it be appropriate for this 6 months, a year down the line to extend to persons doing business with the city, contractors and folks of that nature? What is the industry practice in those areas?
Candidly, the industry practice is the more economic power you can assert. For example, the federal government gets, I mean, the grant contracts we sign with the federal government in the state of Texas, they get a lot of things in there because they're the federal government in the state of Texas. But the city can definitely ask, other entities do. So, and it could be something that the city requests of its contractors.
Very good, very good, very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Is that 4-1 or 3-1, Joe? 4-1, okay, thank you. Item 7.2, ordinance number letter O dash 2024 dash 0009, adopting the 2024 drought contingency plan for the city of Lamarque, Texas. Mr. Garcia, would you like to briefly refresh our memory before we act?
Certainly, I do know that Rick is also on the call. This is an item for the Emancipation Trail Project. This is a document that we were asked to also bring back. If you remember, the Emancipation Trail Project is the.
We're on 7.2. That's the drought contingency plan.
Sorry, I am looking one below. On the drought contingency plan, sorry about that.
No, you're okay.
We do have, I mean, at this point, it's a pretty simple plan. There were some edits that were requested last time. We answered those questions and we're ready to entertain any questions on that. Apologize.
Any questions for Mr. Garcia or our Public Works Director concerning item 7.2? Any questions for Mr. Garcia or Public Works Director concerning item 7.2? Hearing none, I will. Go ahead,
I think I had asked this last time, but the population still here is using the 2018 population here. But this is the new plan. So when we're talking about a drought plan, wouldn't it be helpful to have our current population as opposed to 15,000?
We can substitute our regular population. That may have been a clerical oversight. We could easily institute that as to what the latest population is. The latest certified population.
That's the only comment I saw when I read this over.
I will entertain a motion.
So move.
The second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
7.3, proposed resolution adopting an advance funding agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for the State Highway 3 Emancipation Trail Project. There you go, Mr. Garcia.
Appreciate it. This is a TA grant that we applied for and received through TxDOT. We were getting sidewalks at no cost that'll go from Texas Ave all the way to Main Street or 519. This is one of the documents that was not presented before, but it is ready for signature, and we wanted to formally bring it to this body for execution prior to proceeding. I'll entertain any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Garcia as it relates to item 7.3?
What is the amount? Wasn't it 5 million?
It was roughly 5.2,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly, and it is no match.
No match.
We have all our transportation credits we're using for that.
And refresh my memory, what are they going to do with this 5.2?
So they're actually handling the entire project, similar to the sidewalks we're getting on Main Street on 519. They handle the entire project. All we need to do is accept it. So they take care of all the engineering, anything else. We just need to make sure we have whatever permission we need to grant them through utility easements or anything of that nature.
No, Mr. City Manager, Mr. Garcia, respectfully, what are they going to do?
They're going to provide us free sidewalks from Texas Ave to 519.
Okay.
Along Emancipation Trail, and it will vary from 5 feet to 10 feet in width.
Okay, all right.
Any further questions on 7.3? Again, you said that this will be no cost to the city.
This is a no-cost grant.
Okay. Very good. I will entertain a motion. Is that right, Kiera? Do we have a motion? I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is that second?
Second.
Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Item 7.6, boards and commissions, reviewing the appointment, attendance, and participation of boards and commission members. Does any council member have an appointment to make tonight to boards and commissions or a removal from boards or commissions?
Well,
I- Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, question. This is
Yes.
Mr. City Manager as well too. When we see individuals here, recognizing that we previously had passed an ordinance saying you missed 3 times, you're off, that are unexcused, by the way. And so we see some of these statements here of individuals that have not attended meetings in 24 because it's per year. Well, we said beginning to the end. Isn't that automatic that we wrote it in the ordinance? It was automatic. It wasn't a question of us as individuals removing them, as I recall.
So it is in the handbook that way, that there would be removed, but the handbook was written as a policy, not necessarily, I don't think we passed it as an ordinance, we passed it as a policy. Sorry, as a policy. So the only people who can actively remove a sitting board member would be the council.
Yeah.
So it would still have to come back to you to physically remove them. And then that also gives you the opportunity to replace them at that time.
It's
Does that make sense?
housekeeping.
I
It's
see.
a housekeeping,
I
yeah,
see.
to keep it
Yes.
consistent.
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't want to remove anybody, but I do want to appoint somebody. So I think that I have to remove somebody to appoint somebody. Who is my appointment on planning and zoning? I believe that person might be tardy or absent.
Your planning and zoning person, well, technically you have 2. One of them is Chris Colombo, who is in good standing. The other one, it shows as Graylin Alexander.
Who is
And
not
that
in
is
good
the
standing.
person who is not in good standing.
Unfortunately, I move to remove Mr. Grayling Alexander from the Planning and Zoning Commission due to lack of attendance. And I move to appoint Mr. Corey McCara. Mr. Corey McCara, he lives at 111 Silver Glen Court. 111 Silver Glen Court. Don't give me bad news, Joe.
I am actually we're keeping them at 5. So we're by attrition.
Is that the,
No,
not planning and zoning?
Planning and zoning, I'm looking at it right here, Graylin Alexander.
No, planning and zoning
Yeah.
is set by state law.
Yeah.
We don't set those,
Yeah,
that one.
y'all's board and commissions ordinance, when we went to the standard
Yeah.
number of members, we didn't address P and Z and Board of Education. Yeah, she said, Kiara just said it's an alternate position.
It's an alternate position.
But
so-
we didn't address those because those boards there's a lot of state laws.
State
that
law.
go on.
Okay, I
Yeah.
stand corrected.
But that
then.
particular
No, you're fine.
position is an alternate anyway, so. that's
Okay,
You're
all right.
So Corey McCara, 111 Silver Glen Court is my appointment to the planning and zoning to replace Mr. Grayling, I think it's how you say it, Alexander. Are there any other appointments? Any other removals?
Mayor, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
On the cemetery board, I was noticing on this list that we don't have 5 members. I don't see you having an
I
appointment.
have to appoint a member.
Huh?
I have to
No.
appoint a member. And it's just so hard to get people to volunteer for the cemetery board
And they have to submit a application.
application.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Somebody had requested that I add somebody, but I guess they have to fill out the application.
Formally,
first.
yes, sir. Very good. Any other appointments, removals? Well, that is my nomination, and I would love a second.
I'll second that.
And I don't believe there's a discussion necessarily on boards and commissions, and so we'll move straight to our vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So now we are at new business. Item 8.1, Proposed resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Texas General Land Office Coastal Management Program, Grant Cycle 30, NOAA funded. Mr. Garcia.
Certainly. As we always try to be as aggressive as possible, this grant opportunity was brought to us in our efforts to try to work with some of our dredging and a lot of our areas that we're having a problem with erosion. We've identified several possible grants that we are being very aggressive with. This one in particular, through the Texas General Land Office, again, we're looking to go after any funds that we can to address this, and we look forward to your support and answering any questions when it comes to this particular one.
Is this, you and I had a discussion, we were going over the agenda, and I believe, Kiara, we were all speaking about the agenda. Is this the issue that you said we would attempt to dredge Omega Bay and use that to reinforce our pond or lake or whatever you would like to call it at Highland Bayou? Were you telling me that?
Sure. This one equal to the next one. Sure. Yes, equal to the next one. We are doing the best that we can to remove the erosion from our current Highland Bayou Park coastline. One thing that we had to our benefit is we have some silt that we could use at a nearby area. And our intent is to do as much as is allowable by the grant to utilize some of that excess silt if at all possible.
Right, so we dredge, or someone will dredge the canals in Omega Bay
Sure.
and attempt to use that to reinforce.
Correct.
Just as, I want to make sure that we're
Yes.
clear.
Just so everybody understands though, some of that dredging is not allowable. So
Okay.
we can get we're allowed to use it, but it needs to be a separate payment essentially to get that done. So
Okay.
that's, it's part of the problem. It's part of the solution, just not the total solution.
This is one step,
This would be one.
and the next item will be the second step, is what you?
The next step, the next item for 8.2 is another item that we could do something similar.
Okay, very good. My last question on this is, what's the financial, the financial responsibility?
Certainly. For 8.1, we will be sitting at, depending on total project scope, which we'd still need to fully define as to how much we're gonna do, will be roughly 20%. So I'm hoping the application maximum would be $400,000 for this one.
So 20% of $400,000?
40% match. I apologize for 8.1. 40% match intended to be $160,000 would be the total. And that is destined to come out of the park CIP fund.
40% match, and then you said 160?
40% of 400,000 represents the 160.
Okay, so 160 would be our obligation.
Our obligation.
And your proposal is that 160 comes out of the,
We would propose for it to be considered to come out of the park CIP fund. If selected for funding, we have to come back and go through the whole process.
how much money is in the park CIP fund?
I'd have to look at the last report, but I believe over $400,000. Ms. Christine, I don't know if you have that report available.
$400,000? Okay.
After we've paid for any other commitments for the boat ramp and everything else, we should be sitting at over $400,000.
So if we were to be awarded this grant,
Yes, sir.
and we were to be able to provide this match, the canals in Omega Bay will be dredged.
We are looking at that being a portion of this project. We do not have a grant that will allow us to do just the dredging of those. We were looking to do that, but that may fall outside of this project scope. Depends on how we are.
So what does just this project do?
This project is just for restoration of our shoreline.
Okay.
That's the first part of that project.
Okay.
And it doesn't encompass the entire shoreline. We had to keep the project amount within a certain amount.
Okay. Okay. Council, do we have any questions for the city manager as it relates to item 8.1? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second all my questions.
Very good. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry,
8.2.
before you move on,
Yes, I'm sorry, Karen. Go ahead.
resolution number 2024-0034.
I noticed, Kiara, that while we're here, that 7-4, you gave us 0032, and 8-1, you gave us 0034. Is there a 0033 that we missed?
Wait, did I skip one? Hold, please. I may have skipped a number. No, it's 7-3, because remember we did 7-4 first, and then we went up to 7-3, and then we went down to 8-1.
Ah, there it is. 8, so 00, that's 0033 is the advanced funding agreement for the emancipation.
Yes, sir.
Very good. You caught me up. Thank you. 8-2, proposed resolution authorizing the submission to the Texas General Land Office Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act grant program. Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. This one also through the GLO is, we call it GOMISA. It is a funding agency specific to this one. This one, different from the first one that was recommended tonight, that you just passed, is one that allows there to be zero match, similar in that project scope. This one does help with more of the marshland reservation in addition to the shorelines. So this one's a little bit deeper, but as you notice on here, some of the components of what it could have. We have talked about walking trails and different variations of being able to get out there. This is a much larger grant, a much deeper project, and this is one that allows us to address the erosion as well as other items as well. We know from our recent report that we received that we do have some concerns out there in the general area that we would like to treat with the marshlands, and we've been put on a short list for potential funding, and this is one of those opportunities that we can pursue at no match for this project.
No match, total funding?
It has to be determined by the amount, but we will go to whatever limit allows us without having a match.
Is this where we're gonna dredge Omega Bay?
This is also where we're going to attempt to dredge Omega Bay. We're doing everything in our power to
dredge Omega Bay.
Mayor,
Go ahead.
if I,
Go ahead.
so I have it clear in my mind. Cesar, what you're really saying is that the grants ultimately are for us to restore or deal with the erosion problem in Highland Bayou Park, Mac McGaffey Park. In order for us to do that, we need dredge material. The dredge material is a source, is the Omega Bay canals.
It may be.
Well, that's
what we're hopeful.
That's
assuming
our
that-
narrative.
That is our narrative. that
That's
we're
our
pursuing,
narrative.
because it is the closest opportunity to get it
Opportunity.
at what hopefully we will be no
Okay,
charge to do so.
That's what okay, thank you.
Thank you for putting that in a way that we all can understand, Mayor Pro
We're
Tem.
working as best as possible to be as creative as possible to kill two birds with one stone. If you will.
So fingers crossed applesauce, huh?
Yes, sir.
I got you.
And toes too.
I will entertain a motion.
Don't move.
The second,
Yeah, second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 8-3, I'm sorry, go ahead, Kiara.
R-2024-0035.
Very good. 8-3, proposed resolution authorizing participation in the multi-use transportation spline connecting trail project. Mr. Garcia.
Sorry, I'm asking the engineer to please unmute himself should he be available, should he be needed for questions. Item 8-3 deals with a multi-use transportation project that we're trying to do. And what I'll ask to do, if it's possible, could you please help me pull that item up here as far as what the project entails, the site map right here, which says that. As we have Mr. Eric help us with that. We've been approached by TxDOT about a very interesting project. As we know, we've worked on connectivity as much as possible. The idea is to connect with this project, Texas City to Hitchcock through Lamarque. What this project entails, TxDOT has got with this proposal that they're pushing forward, the opportunity to do a truck parking, EV charging station on the other side of 45. While on our side of 45, there would be a retention pond with a walking trail. In addition to that, this project calls for sidewalks to come down Delaney Road. As you can see here, could you blow that up just a little bit, please, if you don't mind? So we would have a existing connection that we would have here on this site. And going all the way down, the checkered lines show what would be sidewalks that would connect Texas Ave, through Delaney all the way to Texas Ave from the Texas City side. The other part of the project that this calls for is for there to be sidewalks to go from the intersection of Delaney Road and Texas Ave all the way down to 2004, offering connectivity to 2004. The last leg of this is to have sidewalks that would go from that intersection of 2004 and Texas Ave to go all the way down to connect to Jack Brooks Park. We know that there is a need and a desire for there to be walking and or biking trails available for residents, for walking, jogging, biking, skating, to connect all this way. It also allows folks to have EV access. The idea is for it also to create some potential business opportunities for the shopping center that sits there at what we formerly know as Gulfway Plaza. And it is a continuity project that would entail way more than a $5 million project here in this case. Our portion is just the sidewalks. I believe we have the engineer who has joined us. I believe Rick is also available to answer any questions on this item. It is a very unique project for us, very, very unique project. And we would like to entertain some questions.
Council, do we have any questions for the city manager or the public works director? Item A3.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right, so in this resolution packet, it says that TA funds require a local match comprised of cash or transportation credits. It's eligible. The city of Lamarque would be responsible for all non-reimbursable costs and 100% of overruns, if any, for TA funds. How much are we looking at a maximum that are going to come out of taxpayer dollars on this?
Great question, Councilman. Depending on the totality of the project, we're looking at anywhere between $500,000 and $650,000 would be our cost share. The total project cost is roughly $15 million, but the city's portion is roughly $5 million for that sidewalk project because we have the largest corridor, if you will, as far as sidewalks are concerned, that fall within the city line. So this total project cost would be between $500,000 and $650,000. However, I will tell you, we are researching if there's a way to get any of these to be done through any of the TA credits, as we have done with some of the other funds. A response is not available for that at this time right now, but we're hoping if we can get some more credits to do that. If you notice, we had a similar situation occur with the other sidewalk grant that we've accepted in the past. Knock on wood, to date, we finished all these projects with zero costs, such as we did on the Texas Ave sidewalk project. With these projects also, we intend to heavily go for any other funds available. For example, we have Safe Streets for All as another funding source. We've also reached out to our members at HGAC for assistance. And this is also payable before the end of the project. For a timeline, the sidewalks that we just finished on Texas Ave, we got in the very beginning of 2022, did not finish them until 2024. So normally there's about a 3-year gap for this. There are a lot of different variations and matching grants that we're looking to pursue for this possible project. And we also look at going on the low end of that. Some of those considerations may be us going to some of the property owners and asking them to donate the land, because those are possible costs that would reduce this, and other ways that we could bring that down. Our goal is always to bring these as low to zero cost match. But this is also a great benefit to partner on a very, very large project that we have been negotiating with TxDOT for the possibility of bringing forward.
Who is responsible, though, to control what the actual cost overruns are? If they just come out and say that the overrun on the whole project is $10 million, are we responsible for a third of it? Or are we only responsible for our small section of it?
Correct. So great question again. So anytime that any part of the change orders or anything else would occur, that's normally when it would be change orders. We would have full autonomy because it is happening within our actual streets or our actual right of way. So we would be able to say yay or nay to those. Obviously, these would be engineered very, very tightly. One of the things that we've done that was maybe not done previously is we tried to make sure that we have more than enough coverage for that. I firmly believe this won't cross 500,000, but we have to put 650 just because we don't know what the economy is going to be 3 years from now. We don't know what's going to happen, and we have to plan for the unexpected. That's why there's that range. We want to make sure that we don't tell you 500,000 and it's 502. Right? We want to make sure that we're covering all of our bases in that sense. The responsibility lies on us and our engineering team that would help with this project, and they would be held to that to make sure that we don't cross that. There's value engineering opportunities here as well. For example, right now, according to this map, the sidewalk runs on one side of Delaney all the way down, and then only on part of the Delaney on half of the way. So almost all the way down. So almost two sides. Maybe perhaps we reduce that. So there are other ways for us to do this. We also intend on going to the businesses as well there to see if there's any possibility for them to assist us with this project, whether through land donation or any part of ingress and egress that we may have to need access to.
Any further questions or discussion? Joe, did you have something?
Yes, sir. This is not too clear. So Cesar, when this project, which I noticed they'd already poured the concrete today on the Texas City side,
That's not for this project.
that's not
This project. No, sir.
That's not this project?
No, sir. That's just them rebuilding what would be Delaney Road that would cross underneath Century Village Boulevard. That
We'll cross underneath
cross
45.
underneath. That's what that concrete is. This project is not started. We have not even applied yet, nor been funded. This is probably a 3 to 5 year project.
But I'm just wondering because this area is the area that I saw
Yes, sir.
on that side.
Mhm.
And so, and it had sidewalks.
There's not complete sidewalks there, and please remember that that's also their project, because that's their land and their right of way. They may be covering the match for some of that stuff to pre-stage some of that stuff, but we're looking at funding to do this entire thing through them.
So two questions. On the Lamarque side, when this project is completed with the thoroughfare Delaney to Century City Boulevard
Mhm.
underneath 45, that will eliminate what is it, those, what are they called? Those
Detours?
those routes that are, you know what I'm talking about? They go this way now.
Detours?
Detours, I guess, those
Yes, sir.
routes.
Yes,
And so-
those detours will be eliminated at that time. So,
But that still will remain TxDOT property.
correct. They
Okay.
still have access to that right
And-
of way.
And and my second question is, from 1764 to about just where the exit is to the frontage road right now, TxDOT constructed sidewalks. And they stop right there. Are they planning, and this doesn't show it, but are they planning on completing those sidewalks to connect that sidewalk where they've stopped to this Delaney Road project? Because there are people that go to work and they're walking in the middle of the frontage road right now.
Certainly. I don't know the answer to that yet. I know it's not part of this project scope. So I would have to research that and find out and look at the plans for that property. I want to say there is a sidewalk that connects all the way through from the bend where 1764 converts into 2004 all the way down, but I don't have that in front of me right now to confirm that. But that's not part of this scope of work.
Yeah.
For example, keep in mind that the current detour that exists that connects you when you're coming down the feeder road, that will no longer exist.
Right,
That's
that's
actually going to be a
detour.
closed
Okay.
function. You're going to have access coming straight down what would be the regular feeder road, as you did.
And one thing, if I can inject and maybe help everybody, so the I-45 project is a separate project, which is the Delaney Century Road underpass going under I-45 is part of the I-45 project and doesn't have anything to do with this project per se. The mobility hub portion of this project that's in red in the circle there is also a separate project and does not have anything to do with this resolution that we're bringing to City Council. TxDOT is looking at that mobility hub as a separate project as far as truck parking and a park and ride There's a small detention pond included with a walking trail. That entire circular area on your map that you're looking at is a standalone project, and that is a TxDOT project that the city's not being asked to participate in. The item before city council tonight is strictly the sidewalk, the trail project from the south end of that mobility hub project down Delaney Road to Texas Avenue to 2004. And the city's participation is only on Delaney Road because that's not TxDOT right away. TxDOT is handling the rest of the project, including Texas Avenue and 2004 sidewalks. That is all TxDOT right away. They are taking care of all the engineering, of course, the funding, et cetera. So the only issue that is before city council in the city is the Delaney Road section, which is the connecting section between TxDOT right-of-ways at I-45 and Texas Avenue. And that estimated cost based on preliminary engineering is a little bit over $3 million. I think Samir is at the meeting tonight virtually, and Anna Ramira Herda is also available for any questions. She's the point person with TxDOT on this project. It was brought forward as an opportunity for the city to expand our walking trails. It's a project brought forward by the Department of Transportation, strictly for walking trails, sidewalks, bicycles. So that's why Anna put together a pretty good project here as far as having bike trails. It's a 10-foot path, bike trails, walking trails, the 2-mile section. And to help with Councilman Ross's question regarding the overruns, Mr. Garcia chimed in on that or provided some answers. The city's involved. If there's any change orders on the original project, the city's involved with those. Those agreements are in place with the current TA agreements, the AFA agreements that we have with TxDOT on Main Street and on Highway 3. So it's common language with TxDOT because those projects are within the city. If there's large overruns, basically they put that, and our legal counsel was aware of those numbers on Main Street and I believe on Highway 3. So that's not uncommon language.
Mayor, I would like to say that goes right through District A, and these are some of the projects that we've been talking about in the last 3 years, and in partnerships with the Department of Transportation, as HGAC as well, and meeting people like Anna and meeting those people that can come to us with these ideas. We know we've talked about having, that's why when I saw it in our packet, I said, oh my goodness, it's finally happening, that we've talked about having park and ride here, in Lamarque, and having, buses to come here where our residents don't have to go all the way to Southwest Houston. And I think, of course, because all of our growth is going to, most of our growth, let me say that, within the next 5 years will be on the west side of our city. These sidewalks are necessary for safety. I think it goes to our goal toward public safety, as well as the traffic study that our residents of Delaney Cove, what we have requested. And we know that Amazon is also expanding as well. So I think this is necessary for the district that I represent, that we have these sidewalks and that we provide a safe space for our residents. As we know, that particular piece of our city will definitely experience fast growth. So thank you for this, City Manager. Thank you, Joe, Mayor Pro Tem, for, you know, all of these meetings that you've gone to and we've listened on. I think this is an example of that collaboration. So I'm really excited to see, and I pray that our council will approve this. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Garcia.
Just one thing is also, a few councils ago, you guys did do a multimodal study. I believe it was done by the Goodman Group. It is enclosed here as well, I believe dating back to 2018, if I'm not mistaken. And one of the things that was talked about is being used as support for this project. We talked about sidewalks down the laning, specifically down Texas Ave, down this corridor. We are in talks with TxDOT about more sidewalks, obviously, especially since sadly we have had a lot of fatalities and pedestrian fatalities as well. We're doing what else we can to not only provide these as a transportation module for folks to get to and from, not only as a recreational model, but also as a pedestrian safety model.
Yeah.
Thank you, Council.
If just Rick or Mr. City Manager, the ultimate goal of this project as well is to eliminate that open ditch that's over there in front of boot kickers. Is that correct? The corner there, that's, you remember when you talked to.
So this project does not necessarily address that. Those are retention
If it's
areas.
going to make sidewalks, says that, it would have to eliminate that.
Well, no, but where boot kickers is and where that side is, you have to understand that the multimodal side of it is actually coming down through the actual right of way. So it may or may not encroach into the ditch. There are some areas where we may have to get rid of some ditch and may not be open ditch, but the plan is for most of that area to remain as open ditch and or retention pond area as what is involved in the top left-hand corner of the circle that we're seeing now. So some of that space is specifically for that. I cannot say whether or not it's going to eliminate any ditch, but there is a need for drainage that still exists. And that will be properly engineered as need be.
Michael with Atticos, attending the meeting. Samir, you might be able to answer that question. I've got the estimate in front of me, I guess, a little bit. I just don't know if you had added stormwater improvements on this project.
We did add stormwater improvements, but not to the point where we were filling in that ditch entirely and removing that open ditch. That would just be, we had some areas where we would regrade or fill in some ditches, but that one was not a part of that.
Will you pull out all that overgrowth that's there that's preventing the smooth flow of stormwater?
Ms. Turner?
That's a maintenance issue we could take a look at, sir. I don't know. I think I know the area you're talking about, so there's a fine line in there between TxDOT right of way and city right of way as far as who maintains what in that area because of that frontage road in there.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Yes. Ms. Turner, I've asked you, I'm sure you had something very important to do. But
actually bringing something out. I'm sorry.
Okay, but I've asked you to come down because you and I have this discussion. Seems like almost every meeting now.
Yes, sir.
We are, again, council is considering a grant, and I appreciate the Public Works Director. I appreciate the city manager. And sounds like Mr. Compion, and certainly I appreciate Ms. Yancey's sentiments. But we're down to dollars and cents. And what I've noticed is that we are, as a council and as a staff, we're very aggressive when it comes to applying for grant funding. But a lot of those funds, for example, the Police Cops Act and other funding in the police, within the police department, parks and recreation funding, boat ramps and things of that nature, they have grant matches. This grant match is estimated at $500,000. And it could go as high as $650,000. So again, like last meeting, is this something that down the road we would be able to afford without burdening our citizens with higher taxes.
This particular one that we're talking about, I do not have an answer for that tonight. And city manager and I will get together and analyze that. I cannot answer that tonight.
Very good.
Mhm.
The other issue I
If I-
have is not. Did you want to say something, Rick? I'm sorry.
Well, yes, sir, if I could just interject, because
yes.
I would hope, one of the items that, and once again, Anna's on the meeting with us too. So where we're at with this resolution right now is TxDOT needs a sponsor in order to move this project forward. So that's what the city acts as a sponsor for the project. Admittedly, there's funding involved with the Delaney Road section, as I mentioned. Presently tonight, the city's not committing any money per se to the project. That will come at a later time if the project even gets funded by the federal government. This is not a slam dunk at this point in time. The application has to be submitted. So I believe what TxDOT and what Anna's asking for is the city's commitment to agree to the project moving forward at this point. Once again, and Mr. Garcia brought some of this up, once we get into the nuts and bolts of the engineering portion of it, we've got some control over the section of the city, which is Delaney Road, and what gets done there as far as the expenses. It is estimated that what's estimated right now are the numbers that you shared, the up to $650,000. We believe that there's some avenues where we've got some external sources to assist with that funding, and also some project design that would drop that cost down. But for clarity for tonight's meeting and the resolution that we're asking for, what TxDOT's asking for, because they need to submit this by June 17th, is moving forward with the project as a sponsor without a strong commitment of funding tonight. And please correct me if that's incorrect.
Well, let me ask this. I don't, is Ann here?
Anna is online. I see her. She's muted right now, but I know she's a participant. Anna Ramirez, can you hear
Anna,
us?
and who does Anna represent?
TxDOT.
Okay.
They're our main point of contact on this project today.
Rick, I do have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
With that commitment that you're looking for tonight, how does that lock us in to being obligated, just in simple terms, to have that match, that up to $650,000 match?
So the lock-in with the city does not happen until we actually sign and agree to an advanced funding agreement with TxDOT, which recently happened with the Highway 3, even though there was no participation from the city on that, because there was credits that we could use through the street the funding program through TxDOT. This one is not the same type of program, which is the reason it requires 20% match on the city section, which is Delaney Road. But from the resolution tonight, all we're agreeing to is moving the project forward as a sponsor, with an understanding that there would be some possible funding from the city, which is at 20%. But the resolution itself it's not the same as us committing that full $700,000 or $500,000 to this project. And I see Anna Ramirez unmuted herself, so she can hopefully help me out and make sure I'm not steering you wrong there.
Sure thing. Apologies to this body. I was double muted. Hi, my name is Anna Ramirez, and yes, we're excited with the possibility of partnering with City of Marque. We've partnered in other projects. Delaney Road, as was mentioned, was a project that was submitted by City of Marque for the state TA call for projects. Unfortunately, this past year, it was not funded, and we thought it was a great opportunity to submitted for a different pot of money for federal funds and really create that nexus between two cities, which is Texas City and City of Hitchcock, and hopefully bring a lot of mobility, a lot of people, and a lot of economic development to City of Lamarque. In terms of the match, TxDOT would be putting, as Rick mentioned, would be putting the match for the area that is in red, which is a mobility hub, which is also the bells along I-45, as well as the match for Texas Avenue in 2004 along our right of way. So the area of Delaney Road, which is on City of Lamarque right away, that match would have to be considered by the city. But as was mentioned earlier, there is a possibility that is being explored about trying to leverage perhaps a no match for the city. This is something that we're still vetting to see if that is possible. Again, this is a $15 million project, and the city would have to put $650,000 as what Samir had calculated as a 20% match on that preliminary estimate. So basically, it's being leveraged about $14.5 million for this whole infrastructure, which is really mostly on City of Lamarque right away. We hope that this project will enhance safety, will bring economic development, as well as spur, even in beautification, where we're having shared use path, you're gonna have people walking, biking outside of the right of way of the vehicular lane with beautiful shade trees. So we are hoping to really think about a holistic transportation system that will also enhance transit as well as a park and ride, while also maintaining vehicular traffic with pedestrians and bicyclists outside of the vehicular lanes to improve safety and traffic flow.
Well, thank you, Anna. I guess my last question would be, will there be a second chance for this council to vote if it comes to light that we have to expend fiscal resources on this project? Yes or no?
Yes, Mayor, anytime that we accept a grant, we do bring them forward to you, especially this one where it would have a financial commitment. We would have to bring all that forward.
So once this becomes clearer, perhaps this council might entertain, there may be a 200,000 or 600,000, and then we would be able to vote it up or down at that point.
So what happens now is we're coming to you forward for the chance to apply.
Okay.
We can engineer it in any which way. At the time of award, then at that time, we would figure out how we were going to pay for that. So that would be, if we engineer it down, like I mentioned, for example, one of the things that is drawn up on this for cost is streetlights. Well, thankfully, we've already handled streetlights on this road. So thankfully, that's one less expense, but we need to still include it because it's part of the total project. We're going to value engineer this down to where it's a manageable amount because we cannot commit ourselves to anything more. Right now, the basis of this entire project lies on Lamarque's involvement because we are that connectivity piece. And I think with the amount of points that are probably being garnered, and again, Ms. Anna's on the phone, as well as the engineer, that's what makes the application stronger because we do provide that component, especially since we're adding the EV and the retention pond and the actual walking trail, the trees and the trail around the pond. The idea is for us to bring this back to you with final, but we won't do that unless we get funded. If we are funded at that time, we'll come back and say, well, this is what we
need 500,000, 300,000, and then we can say by vote, yes or no.
Correct.
Okay.
At that time, that'll be at acceptance. This is more for application.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that tonight, if we approve this to move forward, we're not obligating ourselves to any financial obligations before we understand the entire picture. And you're guaranteeing me, Ms. Turner is, Gus, do you?
Yeah.
I don't see a sponsorship agreement.
Okay, all right. We want to make sure.
We're the project sponsor, not the fiscal sponsor. We haven't crossed that bridge yet.
Got you. Makes sense. Okay. Well, I will support that personally. I'll support us moving forward. So simply because we don't have to make a financial commitment at this time. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, Kiara, do we need a motion? We will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Resolution number R 2024 0036.
0036. 84. Request for proposal awarding RFP number 24-03, disaster and or storm recovery services award approval to Crowder Gulf and CTC disaster response. Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Mayor. We've got Kyle on the phone, who's joining us remotely. He's already made his, begun to travel to Denver. But for these items, these were RFPs that were put out. We're ready to award these RFPs. Again, these RFPs are not enacted unless we are in a storm situation. These are also funds that would be recoverable through FEMA at the 95 to 5% difference, as any other FEMA recoveries would be encountered. And I'm very, very hopeful that we will never have to use these.
Sure.
But these are things that we want to prepare ourselves to be in place. And also to a question that was asked by a resident earlier tonight, this has nothing to do with that because this past storm that we had was not an active storm. It was not a named storm that we had to declare any status of emergency. However, we have derived a plan internally that we're working with Ms. Venetia and Waste Management to make sure that we get all the debris picked up within the next couple of weeks.
So there was not, though the weather event was bad.
Yes.
There was not a declaration of disaster emergency from myself, from Judge Henry, from Governor Abbott, from President Biden. So we then aren't allowed to initiate any services with these companies unless there is.
Technically, Mayor, we can initiate it. We just won't.
We won't
get
be able to,
reimbursed.
okay. Thank you for the
So,
clarification.
yes, so we have to handle that either internally or through our normal channels.
Very good. Council, do we have any questions for the city manager, or Kyle, who is our disaster emergency, management, coordinator? Any questions for Kyle or Mr. Garcia tonight? Hearing none, we will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is that a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 85, request for proposal, awarding RFP number 24-02, debris management, monitoring, and consulting services to Debris Tech and TLC Engineering. Mr. Garcia.
Same explanation, Mayor. Any other questions that you would need? Again, one of these is recovery services while the other one is debris management. As you know, those two usually are done by two separate parties for system of checks and balances. We wanted to offer the same opportunity here.
Very good. If there are no questions for the city manager or for Kyle, we will entertain a motion.
Quick question.
Yes.
Just to be clear, Mr. City Manager,
Yes, sir.
there's no upfront on our part to implement these contracts.
Only at time of activation should we choose to activate.
That's, so there is an amount. How much is that amount? Do you know?
There is no cost to us for this unless we call them up.
I understand that. I've got much experience in this. I would like to know what's the amount if we use the contract. At one time, we had a $1 million disaster fund. It's disappeared. What, for us to utilize it, what do we have to pay these folks to start the contract?
So at any time that happens, there's a mobilization that occurs. So for whatever case, hey, ABC company, we would like to mobilize you for whatever effects.
Right.
And whatever contractually that would be, whatever that percentage is, that would need as a mobilization cost, as we do with construction project. There's a upfront mobilization cost. I don't have the specific one for this company, but I could get that for you. And Kyle, if you're on the call, if you know that by heart, by chance.
I mean, it's going to be different depending on square footage, volume, and what equipment is required or needed to remove the debris, and then how much debris there is for the cost of how much the monitoring company would charge. That's all laid out in the RFPs that they submitted by different variations.
So to clarify, a category 2 might require less equipment, less mobilization than a category 4.
So, Mr. Garcia, Mayor Pro Tem alluded to, and I don't think he meant it in that way, but he alluded to an emergency disaster fund that previous councils kept back for emergency disasters. What is happening with that fund?
I see Ms. Christine Diligent looking for the balance of that fund to give you an accurate account. So if you give her a moment to look that up, I'm assuming the balance is what you're inquiring. Essentially, we, as any city would normally do, we keep a disaster fund available. We've been, I would say, pretty good about keeping a amount. God forbid something has to happen, so we don't have to go into the reserves as much. And so if we can give her a moment to look to give you that number, we could do so, or you can provide that later on, whatever you'd like, to not put it on the spot right now in front of everybody who's staring at her to get these accounts.
Yeah.
I have it here. It's Fund 70. It's called Disasters. We have a fund balance of $1,577,975.95.
Say that again.
A fund balance of 1,577,975.95.
And as a follow-up, what I will do is I will ask Ms. Christine to please email that to me so I can share it with council.
I just wanted to make, I believe Mayor Pro Tem was trying to suggest where does that fit in this equation? But I wanted to make sure that we are not saying that this disappeared. It actually has $1.5 million. It has more in it than what Mayor Pro Tem was his memory recalled.
Yes,
So we
ma'am.
want to just make that distinction.
We always want to keep that. I think we've been very good at doing that. At one point, it was in the lower 1 million, if I'm not mistaken. We have addressed this before. We address it each year
Yeah.
during the budget season.
Absolutely.
And whatever discretion you want to use at that time to increase, reduce, whatever the case may be, that is the discretion of this council to do so at each and every budget year for the next fiscal year.
Very good.
No.
Good.
This is our 90-day fund?
No, sir.
No.
No?
No, sir.
So this
not-
is
Strictly for
I'm sorry.
disaster.
Councilman. This is strictly for disasters. The city has been very prudent in keeping a disaster fund. We do live in a area that is very prone to hurricanes.
Yeah.
And we strongly suggested that. At one point, this account was at a higher amount, and we decided to reduce that amount. I believe last year or the year before. Pardon my memory right now. But yes, that is exactly what it's for. It is separate from our reserves.
Did we reduce it during the rollback? Was it around
It
that?
may have been during the
Yeah,
rollback,
I think
and
so.
again, it may have been. I don't remember the exact.
If my memory serves me correctly, I believe it was Hurricane Ike that prompted us to dig deeper because of all of the problems that we had as a city during the aftermath of Hurricane Ike. And so that's, I believe, a little history. But I believe you're correct on that. I think it was if I'm not mistaken, we did some work on that fund during the rollback, trying to recoup.
And it may have been over 2 years too. It may have been kind of an ongoing thing. to kinda
Yeah,
help us
yeah,
turn
yeah,
things.
yeah. I remember now. Very good. Any further questions? Thank you for that, Mayor Pro Tem. Any further questions on 8.5? Where are we, Kara?
I need a motion.
We will entertain a motion. Is that second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 8.6, by charter, let me say this, because I put this on the agenda. 8.6, by charter, after the election, this council has to appoint Mayor Pro Tem And I'm saying that I put this on the agenda by charter because I believe that Mayor Pro Tem Joe Compion has served our city well. And I fully support him, and I want that to be clear that this is, for me, a housekeeping issue. Nonetheless, I am the mayor, and the Mayor Pro Tem is normally the representative of the council. And so I will entertain a motion for the appointment of our Mayor Pro Tem.
So moved.
Who are you nominating, Ms. Yancey?
I'm sorry, I'm nominating our current Mayor Pro Tem, Joe Compion, as to be our to stay Mayor Pro Tem.
Very good. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
8, 7.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. I think. Huh? 8-7, Ordinance Review Committee, considering the creation of an Ordinance Review Committee. This is Mr. Ross doing work for this council, and so we will yield the floor to Mr. Ross so that he can introduce this item to council.
So what I'm proposing is that we, as a council, set up a ordinance review committee consisting of one member from the EDC, a person from the Planning and Zoning Committee, and one person from each district, and the mayor have a person appointed to it with one council person ad hoc, just like any of our regular, to look at our commercial and our industrial ordinances and to make them a little more user-friendly. The ultimate goal would be to get to a city tax rate similar to Webster of 26 cents instead of 45, preferably in the next 20 years to be down as low as Stafford, which is 0 with our sales tax and such that is collected by the city. One of the things that I've noticed going through, I hear talk about aerospace and such being put on there, but our industrial ordinance only uses metals up to 10 gauge. That is approximately 35 sheets of paper. Most commercial and or competition smokers use a 1/4-inch plate steel, which is twice the size of 10 gauge steel. So we can't even have somebody make good competition barbecue pits in the city of Lamarque with our industrial ordinances, the way they're set up. So I'm just proposing that we create a committee to look at all of those commercial, industrial, and create what is good for the city, and then somebody come in and ask for a variance if they feel they need it.
Is it just the commercial and industrial ordinances, or would you task this committee with reviewing all of our ordinances?
I would just start with commercial and industrial right now. That way we can definitely say that Lamarque is open for business, that we can bring the businesses in, whether it's a chip manufacturer, whether it's a robotics manufacturer, somebody that is manufacturing, creating high-paying, high-skilled, high-labor jobs in the city of Lamarque.
Question. This is directed at our zoning ordinance. An ordinance, a creation of a zoning ordinance review committee?
We could look at all the zoning if we want to, whether it's residential and how it's set up, because we don't want to put in the middle of Saltgrass a robotics manufacturer or somebody to set up to weld a whole bunch of commercial grade smokers in their backyard either.
Well, I asked that, Mr. Ross, because when I came on council, Deere was still on, that was one of those quick items, and I said I would bring it back at some point. But in our zoning ordinance that was passed, we have a lot of requirements with regard to our landscaping, our trees, and by the way, Mr. Garcia was noticing the removing trees over at the complex for the over there. What's it called? Jerome's place.
The dog track.
The dog track, right? Those big oak trees, and I think that was a big area that was included in that zoning ordinance about removal of trees. And I mean, I don't have a particular opinion. I'm just saying that those are things that were in there, and so I'd like to make sure that. But that's all. It was a zoning.
Gus, I saw you lean into your microphone. Did you have something you wanted to say?
All I was gonna say is the city's planning, and I mean, if the ultimate goal is an amendment of a zoning ordinance, I would just caution everyone that process, that the planning and zoning committee under state law is the entity that with the authority, with where that process, we will have to go through planning and zoning, and there will have to be a public hearing. So and so P and Z is there. If council wants to utilize something else to supplement that, I don't see, that is something that occurs. What you see in other cities are, for lack of a better term, downtown revitalization committees. But I just want everyone to be aware that as we go down this path, there will need to be P and Z involvement. Just.
Are you saying that we can proceed with this review committee, that however, any of the recommendations that the committee would make would ultimately be first presented to the planning and zoning? Is that what I'm
Yes,
hearing?
if it's a zoning change as opposed to a building code change or something along, and I'm not saying that that's the suggestion, but if it's a zoning change, yes, it would have to go to P and Z.
Well, that's interesting, Gus, because that's not what happened when we changed it last time. So I'm just pointing that out.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah.
And that's why, part of that is why on this board, I want the Economic Development Center with the planning and zoning, because I think with the two combined, we can create a smarter process with it for a business to come in and say, I would like to make this plot of land my plot of land and do X on it. And we can say easier, yes or no, you cannot.
Any further thoughts on this?
But yeah, well, I have a question. Would that not be a duplication of what we already have, or no? Or just another step before they get to the planning and zoning? I just want to make sure that we're not creating more red tape for ourselves.
It's actually, we're not, because we could actually, in this process, create our own terms for a heavy industrial zone, our own I3 district, and then allow that to create more opportunities. For example, if we wanted to bring aerospace in here, if we could find somebody that wanted to do a widget that's going to fly up in the space station. The aluminum that my dad used was over a 1/2 inch thick when he worked for ILC for one of the tools that he used. That's greater than the 10 gauge steel that we're allowed to use with our current ordinances. This way we can have that manufacturing capability in the city of Lamarque, and we can grow another A&A machine shop, or we can grow another fabrication somewhere else in the city and have competition, not just let it stay in one place.
So James, you want one member from the EDC. So how about this? Gus, would it be possible to have an ad hoc committee for a portion of time that would include the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as ad hoc members named to that committee by this council, and have them all work in conjunction? Because you're saying ultimately it has to go before planning and zoning. I believe Mr. Ross is wanting the community to work toward creating these ordinances or changes in these ordinances? Could they work together for 60 days or so?
I think that would work. Just from the logistics perspective in state law is that the Planning and Zoning Commission has to conduct a public hearing and prepare a recommendation to council, as it does for all zoning changes, really. It has to do the same thing for amendments to the zoning ordinance. And so if council wants to appoint an ad hoc committee or something to come up with a recommendation to assist the P and Z, that's fine. And I think that's kind of what Councilmember Ross is getting at. Not to put more, I see him nodding his head, so I'm hoping if council wants to do that, then it would go to P and Z for its formal public hearing and recommendation from P and Z to the council. And that to get to Councilwoman Yancey's point about extra red tape, I don't think what's being proposed is that this go to that every applicant come to this. This is really a zoning amendment, not a zoning change. This is a zoning, let me rephrase that. It is a amendment to the zoning ordinance as a whole, not a property specific amendment.
So this is more to make our ordinance clearer instead of the muddy water that it can be sometimes as you read it. As somebody wants to come in, they already know where they fall by looking at our ordinance and can apply for whatever zoning that they actually fall under and not have to, preferably not have to ask for a conditional use permit or not have to ask for a variance because they know what they have to do. It's easy to read and we can go and take it from there.
Well, I guess council, we can choose to, I don't think that we can act tonight, because it says considering the creation. Sounds like, there is no objection to us moving forward with some sort of ordinance review committee. I don't hear any objection tonight. So if that's true, then I would suggest, Mr. Ross, that you work with the city attorney to work on this and bring it back next meeting with an action item attached to it. And from there, we could pursue naming members of that committee. And I don't know, James, if it will be inclusive of the planning and zoning. That's something that I would love for you and Gus to work out. But definitely, since there is no objection, council has given you, through no objection, the go-ahead to formalize this and bring this before us for a formal vote.
Sir,
We
thank you.
good? We good? All right. There's no action associated with item 8.7.
Just the creation of a committee or commission is typically done by ordinance. And that probably, and based on the timeline of how your council meetings work, that wouldn't come back until the first meeting of July.
Sure, but we can definitely have the official creation, right?
Yes, sir.
The first meeting in July, but we can definitely have it brought back so that council can tentatively approve the idea.
Yes, sir.
When I just want to make sure that Gus and James can make sure that they work out any kinks. Would that be okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just verify.
You're right. I mean, according to our timeline, would that suffice? Very good. Thank you, James, for that. Item 9, city manager report. Council, as always, there are several items, and we can take this as a whole, or we can pull items out for further discussion and further questioning of the city manager. And so at this time, are there any persons wishing to speak to, and I'm going to go really fast here, so just speak up. Anyone wishing to speak to item 9.1? Anyone wishing to speak to item 9.2? Anyone wishing to speak to item 9.3? Anyone wishing to speak to item 9.4?
I do have something.
Okay, hold on a minute, Joseph. 9-4, we're gonna go through and then we're gonna come back. You want 9-4, pull?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone wishing to speak to item 9-5? Anyone wishing to speak to item 9-6? Anyone wishing to speak to item 9-7?
I'm sorry, we'll do mine on 6. I apologize.
I'm sorry, go back.
We'll do mine on 6.
You want to do 9-6 as well?
Yeah, or
Okay.
just 9-6.
Just 9-6, not 9-4, but
Correct.
9-6?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Anyone
Uh,
wishing, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, she's not, oh, she's here. I did have some questions,
Which one, Joe? Wait a minute.
updated audit.
Okay, so hold on a minute, hold on a minute. So 9-5 and 9-6. Anyone wishing to speak to item 9-7?
I would.
Okay, so we have 9-5, 9-6, and 9-7. 9-5, I believe, is Mayor Pro Tem. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Joe.
So, Ms. Turner, can you just summarize this update? What's the significance of the update?
Well, there were, since the last report that I provided to council,
Yeah.
there were a few more items that moved from in process to complete. Would you like me to go through each one?
Well, I know one of them was the bank reconciliation.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
We were utilizing, or we are utilizing a contractor now to transition her from doing the bank reconciliations to the staff during the consolidated bank rec and other bank accounts, because we hadn't reconciled outside of the consolidated bank. We hadn't reconciled any of the other bank statements. And I questioned that. Why are we not reconciling other bank accounts, which we should?
Yes.
So she has trained staff to reconcile all bank accounts that we have. So the consolidated bank,
And who's this person that we've hired?
her name is Tan Beatty. Okay.
Tan B?
Beatty, Beatty. She's been extremely helpful with getting in the weeds, with getting requests that I have researched and corrected. So as of April, one of the staff, my accountant too, she reconciled the April bank statement and we'll move forward. My accountant 1 is going to be handling all of the other bank accounts and reconcile out those on a monthly basis. So I'm very proud of that we reached that point. Any others, Mayor Pro Tem?
The issue on the accrued vacation time, that was a issue that we had kind of expressed a concern because of.
Yes, that is another one. We're still in progress. I need to work in conjunction with the human resources manager. We need to address that.
Yeah.
To kind of get that under control, because as it stands right now, a person who's new hire like myself, I came on board. My vacation, I don't get my vacation accruals until now the 8th month.
Yeah.
I have a 6-month probation, but then it's the 8th month. I want to look at exploring not waiting so long, because when you wait so long, it's building up on the books.
And
Historically, we don't take a lot of vacation. You know, you may not take a lot of vacation.
And we had
So it's just
it open-ended, and there were people that were leaving with a whole bunch of.
Correct.
We had a lot of obligations.
Right.
Okay.
And that goes the same for the comp time.
Yeah, the comp time. Yeah, hopefully.
So I'll get on that, addressing that as soon as I can.
And I don't know if you were in the room, because it was here listed, sending stuff to the Texas Cheat Fund. I don't know if you were in the room when I mentioned.
I heard you.
You take a look
Yeah.
at that, please.
Yes,
There-
see what money we can collect.
Collect, yes.
So,
And also we need to get on being able to escheat stale dated checks.
Yes.
We haven't done that in a long time.
Okay.
So that's one of the projects that I want to work with the consultant with, to dig into that and get those checks escheated to the state.
Thank you. So.
So Tana's been with us how long? Before you?
It's been before me, yes.
Mhm. And so there's been no reconciling?
I addressed her on that. I said, why hadn't some areas been looked at? Because I'm saying, okay, we had different areas in UB and court. Entries were not being done correctly. She and I had a conversation, and she stated that she was only told to do one consolidated bank rec. That was her job. That was it, not to address anything else. But in a sense now, I'm having her address those things because I want those things cleaned up.
Any
Who gave the instruction to not, to only reconcile one thing?
I wasn't there, but just with Tan telling me she was only instructed to do the bank rec for the consolidated account.
Mr. Garcia?
I would not know. I would assume it was the previous finance director, but I don't have an answer right now to do that. I know that it wasn't I, and I don't think it was, it all happened before Ms. Regine would have joined our team. So my understanding is what happened under previous leadership, but I do not know.
And so our previous director, she did not hire Tan, correct?
No, yes, she did. She
she
did
did.
hire Ted. She was originally hired through third party. We did everything we could to reduce that amount. So we were paying.
Now,
Going-
now she was originally hired with if I'm not mistaken, it was a consulting firm. And that firm, I think it was a very expensive amount, $100 and some an hour.
Mhm.
But she branched out from that firm. And her fee now is $65 per hour.
That's what went down. Okay.
Mhm.
Quick question for you. We're going to go now, because of the work that you've been able to do following the audit recommendations. So we'll be able to start going back and posting our check registry back online.
It's online now. It's
Now.
done monthly.
All right, good. All
Mhm.
right, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, we're also fairly ahead of schedule when it comes to the audit. As you guys know, sometimes we struggle to have it done by the budget process. Here we haven't started budget yet, and we're wrapping things up, so.
I just want to remind everyone it was something that Cut News had been on as kindly as I could with the previous finance director. But these are things that had not been happening. And so I appreciate the fact that you're going down this list
Yes.
and correcting them. And
Line by line.
Line by line. And you'll see in the budget, I'm gonna ask to keep Tan a little bit longer. Because she and I'll be working there. She gave me several things that need to be looked at, and I want things to be right. So, and I just hope y'all give me that, commit with me, help me help you to get those things right,
Absolutely.
And can we get whatever was concerning to her, can we get a copy of that?
I sure will.
Yes, please.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any more questions for 9.5? 9.6, Joseph?
In my discretionary funds or account, it shows that I have that I've spent several $100s and I have actually not utilized that account yet.
That was in conjunction with the previous councilwoman already.
So
Is it for your district?
but I started
But we approved the budget in October, and that goes for the entire year, and it's assigned to your council seat. So Mrs. Allred, or perhaps even Mr. Carlson, may have used funds out of the District C council member account, and that's probably what the reflection is.
okay, but I started the same, it's the 5,000, 3,000 expense for travel, right?
No.
Oh, so
Yeah, it was expended out by your predecessors. So whatever's remaining is what you have to spend. So it's not a reflection on what you spent, it's a reflection on what that council seat.
okay, I thought that was,
Yeah.
I
Yes,
thought
sir.
that started over with the election, it was.
No, sir, when we pass the budget in this coming October, it'll start over again.
Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha.
And Councilman Joseph, I apologize for misspelling your name. I know the spelling now.
No worries. No worries. And then also on the check registry, which is online there, we are 149,209. That one was missing.
Which one was that you said?
209, it goes from 207. It goes from 208 to 210
Okay, okay.
between Southern Trench Solutions and Z-Fence.
What month is that?
It would have been on 4/2. I'm guessing.
So April check register. Okay, I'll check into that.
And I think that's it.
That's it? Okay. Item 9.7, Mrs. Turner.
Yes, we received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for fiscal year 20, what was
23.
it, 23?
It would have been 23.
Yes, sometimes I'm a little fuzzy, so much going on,
Okay.
but it was 23. I know, the previous finance director, she, completed the budget, but someone had to take it over the finish line. So I finished.
Was that you?
That was me.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Want to note that this is the 7th consecutive year that the city's received this award. There are some name plaques that are missing, the numbers that are missing, but we have indeed
I'll get
received the
those
awards,
ordered.
and we're working on getting those ordered so we can have an accurate accounting of that.
What, Ms. Turner, for us as a community who may not understand what this distinguished budget presentation, what it actually is, what did we do as a city to garner?
The budget award, there is probably about a 10-page questionnaire of several questions, how our budget is structured, how it's linked to different schedules, just how it's presented overall, presenting various information. I can elaborate next, Councilman.
Absolutely,
somewhat,
that's
yeah.
fine, that's fine.
But it's a very extensive questionnaire with at least, I don't know, 50 to 60 questions that I had to answer. That is then turned into the Government Finance Officers Association with a copy of the budget. They have 3 reviewers that review our budget document to make sure that we met those criteria. They actually score us in on each criteria. And then that score is released back. And of course, ours came back that we met those criteria.
Very good, thank you, ma'am. We're at item 9.8.
I'd like to take a moment, just real quick, since Miss Amy's up here, I want to take a moment and acknowledge a library event that was not on there, our summer reading kickoff. Miss Amy?
Good evening.
Good
I
evening.
wanted to bring to your attention that we are kicking off Summer Reading 2024 tomorrow at the library from 2 to 3:30. Personnel from Marque Fire Department will be joining us. We're going to be doing some outdoor experiments in the park. Wear clothes that you don't mind getting messy because we're going to be exploding some Mentos and sodas and things like that and doing some flotation type experiments. This is just the beginning of a robust schedule of events that we've got planned for summer reading this year. 3 days out of the week on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays in June and July, we are going to have STEM programs on site at the library. So this is the beginning of that, and you're welcome to join us tomorrow and all summer long.
Very good, thank you.
One more thing, Bill, Mayor.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine, you're fine.
There's another check as well as 148,947 in the amount of $45 to JP Morgan Chase. 148,947. January.
Oh, and Councilman Lowry, have you received your card yet? Your credit card? You haven't received it? Okay. So I'll work with Kiara to get those things.
Probably with my business cards.
And you have to fill out a P card policy as well, because there's a policy that goes with that.
Yes,
Mhm.
Yes, you good?
we're good. That's it.
All right.
Mayor.
We are now at request and announcements.
Mayor, real quick, if I could just
I'm
run
sorry.
through some of these upcoming things, I want to quickly remind everybody
Susan.
that we are closed for Juneteenth. Also, while I'm doing this, Chief Merriman, could you please join me forward, explain our new piece of equipment that's outside real quick? As we're going through this very quickly, Juneteenth is coming up. We are closed on Wednesday, the 19th. We will resume our regular operations on the 20th. Next. All right, give us this one question here. One moment. I want to remind everybody of our upcoming Life and Liberty event. There's flyers here in the front. This has also been put out. It is a free event. We will conclude the event with fireworks. We have a lot of stuff planned. It is June 29th, Saturday, June 29th. It'll be at Highland Bayou Park. Next. We want to remind everybody, District D is having a town hall meeting here at City Hall on June 26th, starting at 6 p.m. We would like to have a meeting here. We've already started distributing this, and we'll have extra flyers for you if need be. I want to remind everybody our Juneteenth Gala is Thursday, June 20th at 7 p.m. at the Wayne Johnson Center. All this stuff is going to be available, obviously, for everybody to have. It's also on our agenda. We'll also be putting it out through social media. Everybody has a chance to volunteer this Saturday still with Meals on Wheels for Operation Impact. This is part of our hurricane preparation. This is delivering homebound seniors, meals to homebound seniors for storm season, making sure that they're ready. You can scan the QR code. It'll be this Saturday, June 8th. Please work with our partners at Meals on Wheels to provide the service if you're available. And obviously, All America City, we are gearing up to go. Some of our team has already left. Some of us leave tomorrow, and the rest of the team leaves on Thursday. We're excited for this opportunity. We've got our All America City waters that have arrived. We've done our rehearsals, and I believe that's it, correct? That includes our upcoming events and things that we have pending. And I'd like to close with a little bit of good news that Chief Merriam would like to share with us.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Most of y'all, if y'all came in, y'all noticed the beautiful blue and gold ambulance that was a start of a long, tedious process from October of 21.
All right.
That is the first of our new remount units that are going in service to serve the city of Lamarque.
Wow.
It went in service Thursday morning with a traditional push-in ceremony that we recorded and put on the fire department Facebook page. But from the entire 36-member fire department staff, thank y'all for remounting one of our ambulances. It was much needed, and the other two are still in line, but we've got one running now, and hopefully the next ones will be coming in the not too distant future.
Absolutely.
But definitely not 2 years away like this one was.
Absolutely.
One of the
Thanks,
important
Chief.
things that he noticed, and I think that the taxpayers need to know, is he said remount. And how much did the remount save the taxpayers versus buying a new unit? So a brand new ambulance, if we were to purchase that one brand new, the going rate for one of those is about $340,000. When council approved the two remounts in 21, that rate was roughly around 280,000. There's been some with, difficulty finding vehicles and inflation of material costs. So currently the current rate is about 340,000 for a brand new one. That unit as it sits right now has been reskinned, has new safety features, a brand new engine, and a brand new generator in it. And we spent $178.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good
For that
deal.
one.
Yeah. Good deal. Good deal. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Item 10, request and announcements. Request by mayor and council members of items to be placed on future city council agendas, announcements of city events, community interests. Items of community interest include expressions of thanks, congratulations, or condolence, information regarding holiday schedules, and honorary or salutatory recognition of a public official, public employee, or other citizen, except that a discussion regarding a change in the status of a person's public office or public employment is not an honorary or salutatory recognition for purposes of this subdivision. A reminder about an upcoming event organized or sponsored by the governing body. Information regarding a social, ceremonial, or community event organized or sponsored by the entity other than the governing body that was attended or is scheduled to be attended by a member of the governing body or an official or employee of the municipality or county. Announcements involving an imminent threat to public health and safety of the people, any municipality or county that has arisen after the posting of the agenda. And so we go by seniority, and I believe, Mr. Ross, it's your turn. Mr. Lowry went last time, and so you're first.
I want to, I got a bunch of stuff here, so, Chief Merriman, I've already told Chandler, to put out to everybody, thank you for your help, the Saturday before Memorial Day. We literally were done with all three cemeteries placing flags before 10 o'clock. All of them, 2,500 flags, Rising Star, Mainland, and Galveston Memorial, done before 10 o'clock. So anybody that came out, I gratefully appreciate all the help we got from that, because that was amazing. Secondly, want everybody to know this is Men's Mental Health Month, June. Just kind of be nice to your neighbors. You never know what exactly they're going through. Might be the last guy that sets them off on a path that may or may not be healthy for them. Fighting, helping a Marine buddy of mine with that right now. So just be mindful of the people around you. Flag Day, June 14th, and the Army's birthday. We're still looking for vendors at the VFW. If you can come out, $10 a spot, $15 donation to the VFW for a later brown bag auction. Please come out. It's going to be a bounce house, 6 o'clock. We're going to shut everything down. Actually perform flag retirement ceremony. 7 o'clock, we're going to start motioning everybody into the hall. Cut a cake for the Army's birthday. It's going to be a good time. If you came out on Memorial Day for the tolling of the bells, gets a little bit easier every year, but it was a good time trying to bring that VFW back to what it should be. District D Town Hall, June 26th, please come. I want to take all criticisms and all complaints, all critiques that I can get on what's gone on with District D in the last year. It's hard to believe it's only been a year. It seems like 10. Juneteenth, gonna be a good time. If you want to go, please reach out to me. I would love to have people at my table. Now, city manager, hopefully we can get some answers on rental registration houses on Avenue B and Avenue D that we talked about 60 days ago. The situation at 715 Grafton, if we close that situation out, that would be much helpful. And I would like to find out when we're going to start looking at bids for our new finance software and utility software that we approved with the CIP stuff several months ago, or a couple months ago. That's
Noted.
Good. Mr. Lauer?
Oh, let's see here. So I did a poll a few weeks back asking the citizens what their concerns were. This was citywide. It wasn't specific to any district or anything. I asked for the top 5 and then we narrowed it down to the top 3. The number one concern from citizens was infrastructure, roads, water lines, drainage. And then obviously with this last storm, serious issues with drainage over off of Melody, which was a completed project. I actually drove my car through it, well, my wife's car, and I almost didn't make it. That's a finished project. That's $1.6 million taxpayers' money. And there's some major issues over there. There were some other areas that we've discussed. as far as, you know, when I drove through the district, even when I was running for election, the culverts are half to 3/4 plugged with just dirt from never being maintained. And that water's got to go somewhere. And over on Cedar, it's not my district. However, there was water going up into, 20 feet from people's front door. Back to District C, Melody, I think if we have a hurricane, I think there's going to be major loss to property. Number 2 concern was crime. Crime and forensic audit. And number 3 was code enforcement, trash pickup, which is something that actually Garcia and I had spoke with earlier about getting debris and stuff cleaned up. Actually, one of the things too was the police station inside the fenced area. Maybe doing something to clean that up so it's not visible to the public. People want a manicured city. They want it kept up. They want clean parks. Code enforcement is essential to the city. I know they got a lot of work. But those are the key things. Also the open records. That has been an ongoing issue prior to me even being elected. Incomplete open records that are being reported as complete, inaccurate. Especially if there's a bill that coincides with an open record request, it's got to be 100%. There's data that I've requested several months ago. We didn't follow state law or federal law in providing those documents, and I still don't have them. And I was given some documents, and you could make nothing of it. And I'm more than happy to share that with you, Mayor Bell or anybody, sure. Mr. Garcia. I'm going to get that copy that was given to me, and I'm going to bring it to you. But we have to be transparent with the public. We have to. We're elected as a representative for the people. And so open records is going to be my baby. And that's something that we're going to focus on cleaning up. But I think that's about it.
Very good. Thank you, Joseph. Ms. Yancey.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bell. Cesar Garcia, those flyers that you posted, could you please make sure that is that we put that information on our emergency line for our subscribers, because we have so many new people that are here in our area. So I know in the past sometimes we would put those announcements on that 833 line, so we can do that, as well as the summer camp that we are now participating in with Jared Williams. That information. So I know they have 2 campuses now because there was such a demand for a good summer camp program, and that's happening at Ignite and also at Giles Middle School. So our families would know about that. I also want to tell you about Kevin Kwan, who's a 1990 classmate of mine from Clear Lake, is the writer of Crazy Rich Asians, and a new book that I would love if our library could get in touch with his publicist, and when he's home back visiting, if he could come to our library as a guest and talk about his movie, and also the new book that he has out. He was just in Houston on last week, but I would really love for him to come to Galveston County. The other thing that we talked about was a digital package that when new people move in, we tell them about the businesses, the churches, and things of that nature about Lamarque. And I would love if we could get that going for August 1 for new people that are here. I'm meeting a lot of new families that are moving to Lamarque. I'm getting a lot of phone calls about where to go, where to eat, where to get your hair done, that kind of thing. So if we could come up perhaps with a digital package where that could go out to people that call to the city for water, and maybe we can send that to them. The other thing was I was contacted today by one of my residents from District A about Bobby Beach and wanting us to continue that conversation. And Councilman Lowry, I was told that you would like to be a part of that conversation. I know that Mr. Garcia has been meeting with them already, and it's kind of, that ball is already rolling. So I welcome your input on that, so we can work together to maybe do a public-private partnership on that, so we can make that park beautiful again, if they allow us to, because again, we're not a part of that, but that's something that we've been working on for quite some time. The other thing I think someone has already talked about, and Mr. Loftus talked about code enforcement and making sure that we, keep a high standard when it comes to the couches, the things that people are dumping again. They're dumping again on petroleum. So we definitely want to make sure that that we work on that. And kudos to you and the police chief for almost being fully staffed. I don't think Marque PD has been fully staffed in about over 10 years. So thank you for that. We know that that's going to be a blessing when we finally get fully staffed. I think we're, how many people away now from being fully staffed? Marque PD?
2 officers, 2 telecommunicators, and on fire, we're missing 3 code officers and 1 fire.
Okay. All right. So I would like to know when we, get to that point. I know you've worked ferociously trying to make sure that our staffing is on point. So thanks for making that a priority. And other than that, Juneteenth is here, and June 7th is the Gospel Gala in Texas City. June 8th, I'm the co-honorary chair for June 8th at the Grand Ole Opry with Fred Hammond. I encourage our council to come to that. Tickets are $20. And then, of course, if we could also, make sure that people know that our Juneteenth gala is free, so we can pack the house. And I know Cesar sent you some local talent that's in the city of Marque, and I know they would love to participate on that program. And I'll definitely be praying for you all to represent us on this week. I'm excited for you guys. Never got to see the rehearsal of what you're presenting, but if you have videos, I would love to see the video, just to see it, and definitely have a safe trip, have fun, take care of our babies that you're taking with you, and we'll be basically praying that we win. So hats off to you and your staff for all the good things you are doing. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yancey.
Yes, Mayor, first agenda item follow-up when we come back with the award as well too. But this is an item that we've left on the table, is to follow up on the updates that we need to make for the city manager agreement. We left that on the table. And so I'm requesting we follow up on that at our next meeting at the beginning of the month, or whenever we have our next meeting. And the
June 24th.
The 24th. And I also want to recognize that we did have the passing of, any passing is bad, but especially when it's a young person. And Sarah Elizabeth Herrera, who went to school here in La Marque, her family all did, and she ultimately moved to the Austin area, her and her family, but at the age of 29, unfortunately passed away. And my sympathies to her mother, Julie, Aleva, and her partner, Jack Rios, and her father, Boyd Herrera, as well as her grandparents, Frank and Irene Leva, and her grandmother, Rosie Herrera, who lives here in La Marque as well too, just off of O'Shea on that area. So blessings and condolences to the entire Leva family for the loss of someone so young. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have several items, Mr. Garcia, Council, that I'd like to share. And Mr. Garcia, when I'm done, there was a meeting that I attended, as well as yourself, with the residents of Mary and Melody Lane as relates to their drainage. And there was some information that I'd like for you to share. I believe Mr. Lowry I believe you had a personal event that you were attending, so you couldn't make it that night. There were some things that the engineer shared that would add to this issue of flooding on Mary and Melody Lane. I'd like for you to fill the council and the community in on that when I'm done. Let me first say that I was in attendance at Officer Marcus Craven's funeral homegoing celebration. I believe that was last week. Caesar, it was last week. And let me say that we, as a community, owe a debt of gratitude to Sergeant Cravens. He had a distinguished career with the Marque Police Department. His family has served our community well. They were business owners in our community. I believe they still are. Tight-knit family as well. And it was certainly our pleasure and our privilege to acknowledge the work that Officer Sergeant Cravens did in our community. And I wanted to acknowledge his name for the record for us as a council. I wanted to say that I am in agreement with a joint meeting with the Omega Bay TERS Committee, as well as the Omega Bay HOA and this council. There was a date floated of June 11th. I don't know if that's a date that works for all of us. But whatever date that is, as we poll council, as we work with the HOA and the TERS, I would like to see that meeting happen sooner rather than later so that we all can be on the same page, so that we all can have a path forward. And so if it's June 11th, that's fine. If it's something else that we can all attend and agree on, that would be fine as well. Also, as it relates to Omega Bay, I would like Mr. Garcia a report and a timeline associated with our communication and our correspondence with FEMA as it relates to this issue. When did they approach us as a municipality? What were those situations surrounding that initial approach? What did we do in response? Right? What were we obligated to do in response? Basically a full report on what happened, so that we can get clarity and bring clarity to that issue.
Mayor, can I say something to that accord real fast about FEMA? Joe and I have amazing contacts with FEMA, and we were never contacted about the city of Lamarck at any time during my tenure. So I just want that to be put on the record as
Sure.
well.
Yes, ma'am. And to that point, I just wanted to make sure that we gather our fact finding and present to this council and to our community what actually happened with that issue. We want to make sure that we're, again, bringing clarity.
There was 3 different dates. If you give me a minute, I'll find them.
Yes, sir. I'll come back to you, Joseph, in a minute. You mean for the meeting?
3 different dates that he requested for the city to meet with him. He said, and this is coming from the FEMA director, that he requested city manager, mayor, and council.
On 3 different dates. Do you have them now with you, or you want to look for
It's
them?
in my notes. I just
Okay, I'm going to finish my comments, Joseph, and then we can come back and get that. Thank you.
Yes.
There is a meeting tomorrow night, Chief Argonne. Community-oriented policing meeting at 6 o'clock. Is that right? Will that be at the church down the street? What is the name escapes me? I'm so sorry. Highland Baptist Church. Tomorrow night at Highlands Baptist Church at 6 o'clock, there will be a meeting addressing any concerns as it relates to community policing district. What's the name of the district?
Well, they requested community watch.
The community watch, the Highlanders district. We'll have a meeting tomorrow, 6 o'clock at Highlands Baptist Church. If you are a resident of that area, you are more than welcome to attend. I would like also, Mr. Garcia, for us to have on the next agenda, the Public Safety Building Committee process. We want to start as early as possible, if that means naming a committee. I know that we have a design and we've done work already on this public safety idea. I'd like for us to be able to act on it as a council, if that means approving the parameters, approving the process that we would go through to bring to our community an up or down vote on a public safety building. Remember, as long as I'm mayor, this council will not enter into any significant debt without voter approval, but that's a process. And so I'd like for us to have on the agenda the ability to act on and initiate that process. We do not want to lose sight of the fact that our police officers are living and working in deplorable conditions. And in fact, those suspects and those persons that are being held in our jails are being held in conditions that are also deplorable. So we want to not lose sight of that. Also, I'd like for us to have on our agenda next meeting, basic parameters for our city manager evaluation. We have held off from evaluating our city manager for two reasons. Number one, there was an election and the people have to speak, right? And they've spoken. And so now this new council will have the opportunity to evaluate the city manager based on a new criteria that this council will approve. I would like for that evaluation, Kiera, to have feedback from staff. So there will perhaps be some sort of staff feedback, feedback from citizens. Don't know what that looks like yet, but we definitely want to involve, whether it be 5 citizens or whether it be some sort of online communication, as well as feedback from our boards and commissions. That goes nicely with Mayor Pro Tem's request that we redress issues surrounding Mr. Garcia's employment and the package that he has for that employment. Let's see. The last thing that I wanted to address is an idea that I had, and it involves Amy Miller. And it is an idea that I spoke to Ms. Yancey about, it seems like 15 years ago, so I had suggested it to her, but I'm going to go ahead and steal it for myself. And that is this next school year, I would like for us to offer at least one Saturday a month tutoring. I would like for the library to be a place that all of the children of Lamarck, whether you are in, and Santa Fe ISD, if they live in our district, excuse me, if they live in our city, Hitchcock Independent School District, if they live in our city, one Saturday a month for the library to turn into a tutoring space. I would like for us to partner with students from College of the Mainland that are education majors or aspiring to become educators. I would like for us to partner with teachers groups from the Texas City Independent School District, teachers groups from the Santa Fe Independent School District and the Hitchcock Independent School District, as well as a component for Amy for when those parents bring their children to this tutorial. I would like for them to also go to class, but I would like for the classes that our parents would attend, I would like for them to be continuing education classes that lend themselves to addressing some of the needs of our community, such as Perhaps one Saturday, Amy, it would be a defensive driving class. One Saturday, it would be a parenting class. One Saturday, it would be a money management class, right? So that when the parents bring the children, they now have an opportunity to learn for free, because the library is a place that we learn. And I believe that we can partner with all sorts of agencies and groups. We can have art class one day. We can have, I believe, Miss Jackie, you do the crochet, right? We can crochet some stuff together. But you but you get my point, right? So the students will learn, they will be tutored, but our parents, the incentive would be that they would also come out and they would learn in a different space, but they would learn as well. I believe that would be a great public-private partnership, and I look forward to working with you, Mr. Garcia, you, Ms. Miller, on developing that for our community. Lastly, I wanted to share with you the excitement that we have for the competition that is before us, this All-America City competition. Again, this competition nor this designation as a finalist suggests that we have arrived as a city. Doesn't suggest anything of the sort. We have real issues in our city as it relates to crime and infrastructure. We have real issues in our city as it relates to our tax base and our ability to fund the services that we believe our citizens, our residents deserve. And we are our organization that is becoming. We have not arrived as of yet, but this award does not suggest that you have to have arrived in order to win. The city of Lancaster, Texas, which I am sure is a fabulous city, but I don't believe that they have arrived to their fullest potential. And Lamarque has not arrived at our fullest potential as of yet, but it says that we are willing and that we are working toward a better Lamarque. And every city in this country ought to be able to say the same. None of us can say that we have arrived, but all of us ought to be able to say that we are willing and that we are working toward that city that's set upon a hill that cannot be hid. Thank you, council, for a great meeting tonight. Thank you, those of you that have participated in this great meeting. I believe that we've done a great work tonight, and I believe that it will be reflected in the coming weeks and months ahead. Mr. Lowry, you had some dates for us?
May of 2022, August of 2022, and March of 2023, and that was Brian that gave me that information.
May of 2022.
May of 22, August of 22, and March of 23.
August of 22 and March of 23. So we'll take those dates, and when you provide for us that report, Mr. City Manager, let's make sure that we address these 3 dates in particular. Very good. Anything further? Again, thank you. Great meeting tonight. We will entertain a motion to.
Chief just got one thing he wanted to offer you.
I'm sorry, Chief. Go ahead.
Mayor and Council, I apologize for being
I did have one more.
I'd be remiss if I didn't give everybody sitting here the opportunity to take a tour of your new ambulance. I have a couple of firemen who are dying to show you guys the fruits of y'all's labor. So I apologize for not mentioning that earlier. It's been a long day. Better to be on this side of it than on the inside of it. But if you would like, if anybody in the seating that would like to take a look at it, it will be open and available for y'all to have a look at.
Also, Council, while I have the moment, Chief is working on our CPR certification citywide. We've already completed all of PD, all of
PD has, we had to reschedule one date because of Sergeant Craven's service. And then we'll have PD done this month. And then on the public works and the rest of the city next month.
Our goal is if we're gonna be the safest city, it also means that all of our staff, all of our board members will also be offered this. All of you guys will have the opportunity to be CPR certified. We want to make sure that we're providing safety in our homes as well. We know how critical those emergencies may be. Eventually, once we're done getting everybody taken care of, we're also gonna open up to the public as well.
Very good. Thank you, Caesar.
Very good.
The last thing I wanted to ask to be placed on the agenda is I'm glad you're here, Chief, is a healthy discussion about code enforcement. And if I'm prefacing it by saying a healthy discussion, that means that we ought to be ready for some hard questions. And if I'm saying that we ought to be ready for some hard questions, we're not going to take it personal, right? But we need answers. This is the third or fourth time that I've heard as mayor from council members tonight and a few nights before that we're having an issue with code enforcement. Doesn't mean that we're having an issue with the department. It means that we're having an issue with the finished product, maybe, and even some of the processes, right? So again, let's look forward to that vigorous debate and that healthy discussion. That's all I have. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.